Good morning. It is a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. Swagging his way into the studio this morning.
What's the record for most amount of times getting COVID in one 3-month period?
Where are you at now? 8?
This is like 4.
Right. Now this one, the last one you said was the Super Bowl.
I don't know what this is.
No?
It's terrible. How's it feel, by the way, for America to be great again?
Yeah. You know what I'm sick of?
How's,
All of the winning.
how's,
It's just so much winning.
how's it feel for America to be great again?
Good morning. Drew's here. Drew Forrester, Drew'sMorningDish.com, and Fairways and Greens. Sundays on 105.7 The Fan.
This week, still back.
I
saw Bruce last week. Bruce,
we got a lot of.
I went in there, and there's Bruce. What's going on with you, buddy?
He was happy to be there.
Yeah, he was happy. I said, who picked your music out? It's awful.
Oh, yeah?
He loves his music.
He does. It's all he cares about.
He's given me a packet before. He's
Oh,
play
man.
all this.
Really
Okay.
prepared. He's prepared. He prepares his music, and he prepares which Bear Bryant story he's going to tell that.
It's usually a good one.
That's what he's got. We got a lot to do on the program today. We will get into Would You Rather Wednesday. Of course, the best segment in all of radio. NBA Corner coming up in just a bit. As Drew, as you can tell, scrambles to find out if there's anything going on in the NBA. Who got hurt this week?
Oh, it's part of the
Yeah, but who is it?
Kyrie Irving.
Okay.
Dude, I got a whole skit made up.
Oh,
Whole skit.
look forward to it. Also today, Tim Kurkjian is going to join us. He was in Sarasota as Felix Bautista came back on Monday. We'll talk to Tim Kurkjian about what he saw being around the Birds. Speaking of being around, or speaking of Felix Bautista, our guy Rob Friedman, the pitching ninja, Peacock and MLB, among other places. Rob Friedman was breaking down not only Felix Bautista, but also Tomoyuki Sagano on Monday, so we'll get some thoughts from him about those things. And former Terp Tommy Akingesote, we'll find out about his weekend out at the NFL Combine. All of that coming up on the show today.
They're going to let these kids out of school early? Is that the story? I'm monitoring it.
Because the thunderstorms.
Yeah.
Is that
gonna
real?
be?
They're
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not.
Oh, yeah, everybody's
Supposed to
letting
be
the
windy,
kids out.
I guess?
Yeah, it's
No.
terrible.
Are they really?
What?
No.
I don't know if it's Baltimore
You're
County
kidding.
yet.
Is it time
No.
to bring back That's What's Wrong with This Country?
It might be time to bring back That's What's Wrong with This Country.
Howard and Hartford both, I believe.
Because
Definitely.
it's windy?
Have you looked at the weather forecast?
What
for
is
tonight?
is there
We're
a
gonna get a
tornado?
tornado?
Yes.
Are we
Okay,
sure?
now that's a different
Yeah,
conversation.
relax. Yes.
No one told me.
Possibly,
about
yes.
that. All right, you're dead ass.
Yeah.
There are tornado warnings.
At least, I know at least Howard County is closed early, and I think Hartford might have too, but I know Howard did. Yeah, for sure. Because if they have these warnings up, we can't do any golf stuff.
It's just.
I don't know if you paid.
See,
I pay attention to the weather every single day.
Yeah, whatever
You don't.
Whatever the weather
Right.
was yesterday, that's the weather.
I
that
pay
see
attention
Wow.
to it.
Hartford County Public Schools will close 3 hours early Wednesday as a severe storm is expected in Maryland this
Right.
afternoon.
And Howard too, I think, but maybe just Hartford. I don't know, but I know they're closing.
But I'm going to work under the assumption that
It's Ash Wednesday.
but
Yeah.
What could go wrong on Ash Wednesday? It's the start of Lent. What are you giving up?
that's a good question. I haven't thought about it yet. What should I give up for Lent this year?
You know that's the misnomer too, right? You don't have to give something up.
Oh,
You just have to.
well, then I don't want to.
Well, you just have to make a life.
I'm not a quitter.
You're try right. You make a lifestyle change. Could be anything. You could decide to be more positive for Lent.
Well, that's probably not going to happen.
Right.
I wanna
Maybe
do
you could
something.
just be more positive.
Oh, look at this guy.
Sounds like a good name for
Look at this guy.
a website, maybe.
Yeah, right.
Ay.
Why you beat everybody up?
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to tell me that,
Yep.
dog. I wouldn't know. What are you giving up? You still giving off, paying off the Chinese lunch that you
I haven't
signed
thought
up?
about it.
Well,
It's
luckily, it's still weeks away. You got plenty of time.
It's 7-1 that I would give up
Yeah,
gambling.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I'll take the over
gonna
on that.
take
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, it's Ash Wednesday. So what could go wrong?
Do you say Happy Ash Wednesday, or do you?
Not really. We can say Happy Lent. Lent is now
Do
the.
you say Happy Lent though? Like this is like the Memorial Day thing where you're not supposed to say Happy
I think
Memorial Day.
Father.
Do you say Happy Lent, or is that
I
not?
think Father Jeff sent out a message.
Yes, I gotta. Whatever this is, it's gotta end.
It's
I don't
happened
know what
yesterday
it
too.
is. There's an alarm on my phone for 10:06 for some reason. Gotta end.
It's an important
let
time.
me see what Father Jeff sent out today, and I'll tell you.
It was all on our phones.
Did
now,
he
and-
say
Happy
Happy
the
Lent?
question.
Let me see.
The question is
Welcome to Lent.
welcome to Lent. That sounds more like.
But did he say Happy Lent? We may think of Lent. Want me to read the whole email from the Archdiocese?
All right, anyway, here's what's got nothing. When you were wearing your red today, I assumed it was because there was a big game tonight. I didn't realize it was for Calvary.
Yeah, who are we
Hall.
playing? At Michigan?
Yes, at Michigan,
Michigan.
this evening. Okay, Dynamite.
How about the backbreaker? Well, they won the next one, but how about the
Last
Michigan
Wednesday?
State? Oh my gosh, a nice call with that Purdue guy was on the air with us.
Yes, because he could definitely see coming.
But we did beat Penn State finally.
They did finally win at Penn State.
But Auburn getting beat last night.
They did. Auburn lost last night. That's a good point. That did happen.
What's on your mind? What do you got going on?
You know, it's really funny you say that. I haven't had a ton. I wrote a little bit this week about the dissolution of the zero tolerance policy for the Ravens.
The dissolution of
With them just coming out and saying, we don't have a zero tolerance policy. Why would you think that? Despite the fact that they've referred to having a zero tolerance policy over the years. Right. And I don't actually have a problem with that. Like I have no that's right. A zero tolerance policy is a mistake. There's stuff that it doesn't fall into black and white. There's far more consideration that needs to be given for certain off-the-field actions that might occur. To say you have a zero tolerance policy, I'm really trying to make zero tolerance.
I know. What do you? Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
There's a
over
word
here.
for that, but when you mix letters up, it's called dumb.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. What did Gravis Vasquez get on his SATs?
Barbecue sauce.
Thank you very much.
So there is no zero tolerance policy, and this is and so here's what happens, right? When you say there's a zero tolerance policy, is 11 years later, or 4 years, or whatever,
they hold you to it.
Someone says, "What about that policy?"
Correct.
And then you're forced to say, "Well, we changed our mind."
Right.
Which, by the way, is okay. Had you announced that you changed your mind, had you said, I picked what was the Ray Rice thing? 14.
Yeah.
Had you said in 14, we have a zero tolerance policy for this. Anybody involved in any sort of physical or sexual assault or whatever whatever the phrasing is you use, we will not employ that person. If you said that in 2014, and then in 2018 you went to Florida to have your organizational meetings, and someone in the organization said, "Hey, I think we should revisit that."
Have you noticed that the Kansas City Chiefs have a 100 tolerance policy and they keep winning?
Well, but if someone said in the organizational meeting, we should revisit that maybe that's a little bit too hardline to stand up and say we have zero tolerance, let's revisit it. And then they went around the room and they had a consensus of some sort, and the owner said, "Okay, I'll agree to that. I think we should relax that a little." If they then said, "Okay, well, when we get back to Baltimore, we need to make sure we mention that, hey, we went down to Florida, we met with the owner, we ironed out a number of things. We have a new president. We have this, we have that, we're doing this, we're putting elevators in, and oh, by the way,
we no
longer have a zero tolerance policy. We don't condone it, we don't accept it, we don't like it, we blah, 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 but we want you to know we have changed our... Had they done that... you're allowed to change your mind.
In this moment, and it was fair for Kyle Goon from the Banner to point it out, it's a little bit of gaslighting now. Like now to say, well, we never had a zero tolerance policy. That's never been the Ravens' policy. Well, no, your head coach referred on multiple occasions to your zero tolerance policy. Now, was it ever in writing? Was it ever an official organizational talking point? Or was it just something that was said? I don't know. But you're gaslighting a little bit. And that's to be fair, this is the era that we live in now in our country. This is what we do. Is we just, what are you talking about? No such thing ever existed. It's just the way.
What about when you gaslit?
Which one?
No,
Which
I'm
time?
saying that's what we say now.
Oh, right.
Well, let's talk about the time you gaslit
correct.
first.
Now, wait a second.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about
No,
here.
no,
We're
no.
talking about this.
But first, we got to talk about what
Right,
you
that's
did.
what we do.
Right.
That's who we are.
No doubt.
That's the way that it works. I don't have an issue with there not being a zero-tolerance policy. I don't, because I understand that not every situation is made equal. I am uncomfortable with what might have happened with this whatever incident it was with Zay Flowers last offseason. But given the evidence they had, there was no way for the Ravens to step in and be able to say, well, we can't have Zay Flowers on our team.
Right.
Unless they know something and they're choosing to hide it. And unless they know something we don't, the evidence that we all had was way too...
So you're assuming then this is their cozy way of being able to say our starting kicker is Justin Tucker.
And that's not... this is... No. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
And what I would still continue to say is...
Because that would rub me the wrong way.
Good morning. Drew Forrester, drewsmorningdish.com. I'm okay with there not being a zero-tolerance policy.
You go see Aerosmith.
Yeah, correct. They're gonna
and they don't play Dream On.
I get it. I understand.
Well, I mean, what are you there for?
No, I understand. What's the point?
Right.
So I understand not having a zero-tolerance policy, but the policy should still be when there is clear evidence that someone committed sexual assault or domestic violence, they don't need to play for our football team.
And do you and so in this case, do you believe that evidence exists?
The preponderance of the evidence is too much.
I told you last week he should just take the offer play and move on. Not willing to admit guilt, but I'm definitely willing to admit the evidence that that's been printed about me would find me guilty.
So I'll hold them to that. I'm okay holding them to an individual standard that every case is different. That it doesn't just need to be we have a zero-tolerance policy anytime. Because if they did, then how was Zay Flowers still on the team, right? There was an investigation. There was zero tolerance doesn't make sense. But when
it doesn't make sense because it never makes sense, and I'm not trying to defend them when I say this, and I'm not trying to pull up Tiger Woods when he talked to Tom Rinaldi after the incident when he kept saying it's in their police report, because he knew what was in the police report
Correct.
wasn't damning to him.
Correct.
But when I say what I'm about to say, it does fall in line with that, in that if there isn't a police report filed, the team is always going to be able to fall back on that.
Sure.
Always.
Sure.
No police report. I mean, we're
not
law enforcement. We're a football team.
But I would see that's not good enough for me. And
but that's what they're going to fall back on.
What I'll say is, when Antonio Brown sent that text message where he admitted to committing sexual assault, there was no police report.
And that's good enough for you.
You had the evidence.
Right, sure.
Antonio Brown in a text
Well, you already
message
knew that guy was a goof.
saying, I don't care that he's a goof. I'll
Right.
never care that someone's a goof.
Right.
I care if they committed sexual assault.
Right.
And Antonio Brown in a text message admitted to committing sexual assault towards a woman who was sleeping. So that's it. None. No chance. I
know
care
you
if
were
there's a
asleep,
police
Boo,
report.
but did you like it?
Yeah, something. Oh God, Jesus Christ!
Isn't that what?
No, it
isn't
wasn't
that what he
exactly
said?
what he said, but
Yeah, I thought that's what he said.
no, it wasn't exactly that. But that's the point. Like, if there's evidence, if it's clear,
Okay.
if
And
all
do
of us,
you consider what the newspaper printed to be clear enough for you?
I think the totality of
Well, do you? Just
Yeah,
say yes or
I
no.
do.
Okay.
I do.
That's all you got to say. I'm not down on you.
I do.
Okay.
I think that's clear. Again, short of there being a way for it to be disproven. And I don't know what that would be. Short of, we've got video of it. There were cameras in every, massage therapist room, and we have video of the interactions. We can prove that this is somehow entirely made up. I just can't. It's so overwhelming to try to overcome that. I think that's where I am.
I would agree. Again, it's the question of how much stock are you willing to put in the printed word and the research of, I'll call them reputable. I don't know that we would have a disagreement on that. The research of reputable reporters and the the obvious question being, what's in it for these three people to dig up this, air quotes here, story and it be false? What's in it for them? What would be the end game for Justin Fenton or whoever it was that was the lead person,
Julie Sharp,
whoever it was?
Mm-hmm. What's
the end game for them? Are they getting a raise? Is the banner safe? Tell you what, if you guys break a huge story, we'll give you each a $50,000 raise. Well, okay, now they have a reason to build this thing. But what's in it for them? There is no end game for them. They're just being a reporter.
It's not really about the three of them. Like, the three of them didn't invent this stuff. The question is really what would make you believe that this sheer number of therapists would make these stories up?
Well, the only thing that would make the number go from 5 to 10 to 15, there's only one thing, and that would be money.
An attorney coming and saying we want to file a class action suit.
Would be money, right?
As of this moment, still doesn't exist.
Right. So absent that, then you have to really wonder why these women would step up. I know why they would step up if 3 of them settled for $1.5 million. 3 more are going to step up, and 3 more might step up, and I'm not so sure those 3 would be legit, but they're stepping up. What's the reason for these women to step up? The only pushback that Tucker and his people would have, the only pushback, maybe they're going to go down this road at some point, but the only pushback they have is, what's your name? Who are you? What's your name? You didn't give nobody. There are no names. There's nobody.
How's that going to help them? That might help them in a lawsuit, but it's not going to help them in the court of public opinion.
No, I don't know about that. I think
it's going to help. I think
people are generally
with incels. It'll help them. With the people that are inclined to. We always want to believe that someone's out to get them. But with the average person, that doesn't.
But I think I don't know about that. I think people are generally skeptical of a story that doesn't include actual names, and we've all done this because we have to do it. We've all written. I wrote. I mean, I don't know. I would never sit here to try to rank stories that I broke. I didn't break many, but I wrote a story once about the Orioles changing their road jerseys, and I had the guy in the organization who put the drawings, the renderings of the uniforms into the FedEx envelope to ship it to New York. I had him tell me and show me. I mean, but I couldn't use his name.
Protect that, yes, 100%.
But he did it. He showed it to me. He said, "We're changing the uniforms. This is what we're sending to New York." But I couldn't use his name, so people might not have believed me.
That's a different conversation.
Okay,
it's become standard now. That when it involves someone who is a victim of sexual assault, not only do we not name them, we don't. It's not just that we don't name them in the media. We don't name them at trial.
Right.
We don't even do that. So you're not winning anything with that. You can try it just to try to be an a-hole about it and try to threaten and say you don't really, you keep going out. We're going to find out who you are. We're going to put that out there. But that's going to be.
But don't you
how you think you're going to win in public opinion?
But don't you think that story has far more substance to it? And it doesn't have to be 15 for 15. But don't you think that story has far more substance to it if 4 women named, Margaret Clark, currently a therapist at XXX, stated that Tucker came in. Don't you think the story has more substance if that happens?
I mean, maybe for somebody.
Okay.
We just don't do that anymore. We're just.
It's not about we are doing it. It's that. Don't you think the story would have more substance if some of these women stood up and said, "That's me. It was me."
I think it would have more attention.
It's like the girl that got hit in the face with the ball last night by the transgender man.
What? What are you talking about?
The girl that got hit in the face with the ball. Weren't you watching last night?
I sure as hell was not watching.
Well, you missed a heck of a show.
Oh, boy. I'm sure I did. I'm sure I missed.
Al Green got thrown out.
I heard. And, it was funny because I didn't even know he was still. I didn't realize Al was still with. I love taking him to the river.
I know, no doubt. Right. He was part of the Marcone song.
Right. No, Maybe.
Okay, we just disagree.
But I think only in the sense, the only way that becomes more valuable is because then that person might be out.
And by the way, I'm with you on all this. So don't think
If that person was doing more media, if that person was saying, hey, my name's out there now, so I'll go on talk shows, I'll go on, then that side of the story doesn't go away. To the point that because they're not, we have the story in the banner, and then we haven't really had much follow-up to it, then maybe I could see that argument of
by the way, I'm with you on all of it. I think all those women are legitimate. I think they are telling the truth. I think he had something going on in his history that he regrets now. I get it. Do I think he might have been clean, air quotes, clean for the last 4 or 5 years? Maybe.
Oh, I think it's absolutely plausible that this ended and that he's been. And by the way, that's why I think the whole thing is complicated. It's not easy.
Yeah, I don't think if this is 2 weeks ago, it's a different story.
100%.
Yeah,
they fire him to the sun.
I don't disagree with it, but I also think that the story is much more slam dunk if there are actual people attached to it.
Yeah,
that's all.
I don't think there's anything to me that makes it less slam dunk. I think it's more.
Oh, good.
I think it's more in your face, but the idea again, the having to draw a way in which it can be believable that 16 therapists all concocted the same story for some reason 9 years later.
I think it's only 15 too. Get your numbers right.
No, because there was the one from the Sun as well.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, it's 16.
Okay. What about the press box? You guys got any?
No, I haven't. Well,
you can find one, I bet.
To be fair, at this point, I actually have had, but I don't know if they're the same people that were exposed to the banner or not.
Right.
Like, immediately afterwards, I started getting, do you want to talk to someone else who has a story?
No, I'm good.
I'm like,
no, I'm good.
And it's not that I don't want to hear their stories. It's that I just don't do that. That's not what I do here. I don't do that.
You do sports talk.
Yeah.
We would never stoop to talking about this for 15 minutes.
It's good times, man.
Well, it's dog days.
Is it though? Felix Bautista's back, baby.
No, who cares?
I don't care what you say. I got into it on Monday. I hate spring training baseball. I don't even watch it.
Me too.
I got that scene on Monday. I was into it. I was feeling it. I said it this way.
What's wrong with you?
I have struggled this year with moving on.
I did bet on the Angels yesterday.
What the hell? What are you doing with your life?
They won.
Good for you. I have struggled moving on from how weird the offseason was. Like, I have struggled with the idea of being excited about baseball and thinking about opening day.
Who'd you really want them to get in the offseason?
A pitcher.
Okay, but who?
Max Fried is who I wanted.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like, I
Corbin
wanted
Burns. Like that.
Yeah, Corbin. I definitely would have taken Corbin Burns, but they
Burns.
weren't getting him.
They were
To
never
be
getting
fair,
Corbin Burns.
however, they stayed in on him for some time.
They were never getting him.
Yeah, I would have really.
But yeah, okay. I mean, and what I forget what Fried got. 265.
I thought it was 214. Yeah, or so
215 over 7 maybe
was the number. Which again, given what you were willing to pay Corbin,
you're always presupposing, by the way, he would come here.
8 year,
Right.
8 year 218.
8 218.
You're always presupposing Max Fried would say Baltimore. Absolutely,
Obviously,
right.
Obviously, and it might be that the number to get.
I think they did what they were always going to do in the offseason.
I understand that,
and I know I'm gonna sound like the eternal pessimist, and I am going to be the eternal pessimist until something changes.
I understand
they're
that. And
they're never going to get any good baseball
players. That's totally fair, but it's the eternal.
But they draft them.
If there was a moment to do it, this is the moment to do it. And the fact that they didn't, and it does look the same old Orioles feeling creeps in because of it.
Do you think the dissolvement of the TV network helps them or hurts them?
No idea. Is there more money to be made by charging people to go over the top for baseball games in the next couple of years, or do they lose money because you can't charge people that aren't watching the baseball games to have Masson on their cable packages?
Well, how many? Right, and that's what the economics of it are, right? How many? I know we don't know the number, but how many people are gonna pay them
directly
$99 to watch all the baseball games all year? Are
a
you?
Good number.
Are you?
If it's between that and not watching the baseball games, 100%.
You're going to pay $99?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Are you?
$99 for the year.
Yeah, you got to pay $99 to watch
Yes.
all the games on streaming. It's not.
Yes.
You're going to pay $99? How many fans come to the games? 2.4 million? What did they do last year in attendance?
That sounds about right.
Okay. And of that 2.4 million, how many of them are unique visitors? I'm using website terms.
People that go once.
How many of them are unique visitors? Meaning, how many different people go?
Right.
Do you think it's 1.5 million?
It was 2.28 last
That's what they did last year?
Yeah.
How many of those people are unique?
I'd say one.
I would say one.
Yeah, I'm spitballing. But
Because people go to, I would say 1 million.
And then again, are we saying unique is they went one time or they just don't go every game? Like,
No. A unique visitor is someone who went to one game.
One game. All right.
That 2.28 million people went to baseball games last year. How many of them were one person?
Right.
It's actually
it's probably
now that it's way less.
Less than 1 million.
It's way less.
It's less than 1 million.
Yeah. It's way less. Now, that doesn't include X amount of people who just didn't make it down, but who watch all the games on TV.
100%.
I mean, there's gobs of those people.
Lots of people.
So let's pretend the number's 750,000, just for kicks, of people unique visitors. Let's pretend it's 700,000. I actually think it might even be less than that. How many people are in the stadium? 40,000? Yeah, 40,000 fit. 10, 400. Yeah, it might be. Let's pretend it's 600,000. 600,000 unique people. How many of them are giving them $99? Because if 100 of those people do that, if 100 people do it, that's $66 million. It's $60 million. Sorry.
And that's just of the people. That doesn't include anybody that's not.
No, that's $600. I mean, 600,000 people times.
Right, but how much are they making off of you paying for cable and everyone?
Well, let's get to that in a second.
But that's the comparison.
No. I'm saying let's get to that in a second. So 600,000 people go to the games. 600,000 different people go. Are all of them putting up $100?
Not all of them. No, not all of them. I don't. A percentage of them are.
But if they did,
right?
You're making $60 million. Now you're not making 60 because there's tons of expenses in there. But you're bringing in $60 million. There have to be at least another 100,000 who would not go to the games but give you $99.
Sure.
There's
Absolutely.
700. There's 70 million right there. Okay? If it cost you 10, you've made 60. There's no possible way that the club is generating $60 million right now from cable TV. There's no possible way.
I genuinely don't know what the carriage fees are. I don't know how many people are paying the carriage fees,
Well,
and I don't know
it
what
used to be in the old days. They were getting whatever it was, right? $6 a month, and they were in. Now these are 10. These are numbers when you and I were on the air, but they were in like potential for being in like 12 million homes. When you go down to Carolinas and the Virginias and D.C.,
yes.
I mean they were making $70 million a month, and they were laughing, right?
Right. That's why I don't know that the number isn't still $70 million a year.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It might be, but are they? But and you got some expenses involved in that. But are they better off doing that? Or do they keep Masson alive?
Well, I think they're going to try to keep Masson alive for as long as they can still take that money from people that wouldn't.
But now
otherwise.
It's far less.
You say it's
far
less.
Far less.
The number of people that have cable is certainly far less. I agree with that.
Whoa.
I don't know how much the fees have gone down.
Even if they haven't gone down, they are now in far less.
I think for a little while the play is to try to go a little of column A, a little of column B. Be planning for the post-Masson world. Be planning for the over-the-top option. But for however many people are still cable subscribers that we can bilk money out of that won't be paying for baseball games, don't give it up today.
Right.
Wait until that dies. There will be a day where that will completely die, where the cable television will not exist. But until you get to that point, 1,000%, you still try to take that money from people that will never watch a baseball game but have to pay for it because that's the way the cable television works. You don't give that money up voluntarily. You don't just say today, we don't need that.
No. In fact, you need more of it.
But you're not going to get it.
I think this hurts them. And for two reasons. Number one is I think the only people that are going to buy Orioles baseball streaming, the only people that are willing to do that are people right here. Right here. Now, could there be some transplant that lives in Omaha, Nebraska?
There's definitely going to be lots of those.
But not a lot.
I think you'd be surprised by that.
Then you and I must just disagree on what a lot means.
But that money is just transferring from going to Major League Baseball to the Orioles. Like, those people are paying
That's
for
fine.
the baseball
But
package.
I think the only people that really would fork over money for streaming are in this market.
I think you'd be surprised by how many people have paid for that package through DirecTV over the years. I think you'd be stunned by that. Like, how profitable that's been. But again, for Major League Baseball, not for the Orioles over the years. And I think that's what – does the future of this make it profitable for the Orioles? Or at what point does Major League Baseball just get together and say, we're going to take all of it, and then we'll start doing revenue sharing? And, of course, the big market teams aren't going to allow for that, but at some point that conversation will have to continue. We'll put a pin in it for now.
Okay.
We'll talk actually some Orioles instead. By the way, go pick up this print issue of Press Box. On the cover, David Rubenstein, the conversation that Stan and I had with the Orioles owner. You can find that right now at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. This man was on the call on Monday. It was a really pleasant day, and I got swept up in it with Felix Bautista back on the mound for the Baltimore Orioles. Always one of our favorites. He is the great Tim Kurkjian, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Tim, it's Glenn. Drew Forrester's in studio with me this morning. Thank you, as always, for taking the time for us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
That was for spring. As spring training goes, as these days can be forgettable, and trying to do all sorts of stuff for broadcasts. That one was pretty special on Monday, right?
It was, and in the open, I said this is a really important game for the Orioles, given that Charlie Morton was pitching, and Tomo Sagano was pitching, and of course Felix Bautista was pitching, and all three of them acquitted themselves pretty darn well. So if you're an Orioles fan and you see Charlie Morton, age 41, throwing 96 miles an hour, and you see Sagano, who has a really good idea what he's doing, those are really good signs. But what Felix Bautista did was ridiculous. You can't take over a year away from the game, come back and throw 97 miles an hour in your first appearance with a split that looked like the split from 2 years ago when he was arguably the most dominant reliever in the game. So that was an important day for the Orioles and a really good day to see where the future might be.
Tim, I have acknowledged that, and I don't want to say it was a bad offseason because, my God, Charlie Morton might be great this year, and Tyler O'Neill might be great, but it was a strange offseason based on what maybe the hopes were for new ownership and maybe trying to capitalize on the young core that the Orioles currently have. And I think it's led to some confusion about what the expectations should be for this team because on paper, you would probably say they're not quite as good as they were a year ago. But how much of that is mitigated by, but they will have Felix Bautista this season, and that makes a massive difference between what we saw 2 years ago and what we saw last year?
Yeah, there are a lot of people that don't believe in the closer. He only pitches one inning, comes in a clean inning, but I think psychologically a great closer has a huge impact on a team. We saw it with the Orioles at the height of Felix Bautista. Everybody knew, and with Cano in the eighth inning, if you're ahead after 7 innings, you're going to win the game. You look at the Mets a couple years ago with Edwin Diaz, when as soon as they got a lead, they knew they were going to win because he was unhittable in the 9th inning. But when both of those guys got hurt, everything changed. And now Bautista appears to be healthy again. Let's hope for his sake and the Orioles' sake he stays this way, gets enough innings, and is the closer on opening day, which certainly is possible. But I'm a huge believer that this is a very good bullpen, and it might be a great bullpen if Bautista returns to the form of a couple years ago.
Tim Kurkjian is with us here on GCR. Tim, with that in mind, I think one of the questions is post-Corbin Burns, do the Orioles have an ace? And maybe this is the year where Grayson Rodriguez, finally takes that ascent to becoming that type of guy that we've believed he has the talent to be. But I ask the question sort of more broadly. We look at the Dodgers from a year ago. Yamamoto's great. Did they have a traditional ace, or did they just have a boatload of pitching? And I get that they were unique because they had a boatload of everything, and they continue to have a boatload of everything. But broadly, do you need to have an ace in order to take this next step and compete to win a World Series? Or do you simply need to have a boatload of pitching, and is it possible that the Orioles might have a boatload of pitching even if they don't have a traditional ace?
Well, obviously, you would love to have an ace. You would love to know this guy's going to start opening day. He's going to start game 1. He's going to start game 7. There's never a doubt about that. Jack Morris started opening day 14 times. I mean, that's the kind of guy that you want to have. But if you don't, and the way we use our starting pitching today, you can get by with, 4 2s in your rotation, or 2 2s and 3 3s. You can get away with that if you have a great bullpen and you score enough runs, because we just don't value the starting pitcher like we used to. So do you want an ace every single day? But can you win without, a 20-game winner or a guy who completely overpowers everyone? Yes, I think you can. And the Dodgers are an example of that. I mean, they won the World Series last year, and even though they had great pitchers here and there, that they didn't have that one guy that was just overpowering because of injuries and everything else.
Tim, the offense is the other side of this, right? Like, do we completely put to bed what happened in the second half of last season and ignore it and say it's an anomaly? We don't. Adley Rutschman's Adley Rutschman. He's going to be fine, or is that something that you still have some questions about going into the start of this season?
Yeah, I do. I think they'll. Again, I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to be a better offensive team than we saw at the end of last year, especially in the postseason. But they lost Santander. That's not going to help. And some other guys are going to have to be really good. I expect Gunnar Henderson to be great all year. He wasn't as great the second half of the year. But Adley's the key. And, I had long talks with some guys there about, what he did in the offseason, how much he recognized how badly he struggled the second half of the year. And, it's a spring training game and everything else. But when he tomahawks the ball like he did in the first inning for a home run like that, I think that's another sign that he's back and he's going to be a really good hitter again this year. I mean, he suffered adversity really for the first time in his professional career last year. And when you suffer adversity for the first time on the big league level, that makes it even harder. And I fully expect him to learn from that and recover and be a really good hitter again.
Hey Tim, what's the if you want to call it hot seat meter? What in your estimation? What's the hot seat meter on Brandon Hyde this year? If they were to duplicate what they've done the last 2 years, which is have a terrific regular season and then sort of flatline in the first round of the playoffs, what's that hot seat meter look like for him?
I'm not seeing it, frankly. They were really good the last couple of years, and they just didn't hit in the postseason. And I'm sorry, I just can't blame the manager for being shut down by really good pitching, first by the Rangers and then last year. I'm just not going to buy that, if the manager had managed differently, they would have won. I don't believe that. They just didn't score any runs, and that's going to have to change. But I don't see him being on the hot seat at all at this point. Now, if they get off to a terrible start or something really bad goes on, maybe the heat is turned up, but I don't see that happening.
In baseball, is there someone of that ilk, though, in your mind? Is there a manager, one of those first 40 games, better be on alert guys?
Well, in this day and age, everyone is on alert because we have no patience in the game any longer. And if you lose, you're pretty much done. So I don't see. We had a bunch of managers, fired last year, so we have a bunch of new managers. So I don't see a manager like on the hot seat. I mean, Aaron Boone is always on the hot seat because he's the manager of the Yankees.
He has a 10-game window.
Right. But he just got extended, and, that doesn't mean much anymore. But I think with all the changes we had and with all the young managers we have, I would be surprised if there's a manager that gets off to a slow start and then they replace him. I don't see that in the big leagues right now.
Gotcha.
Tim, I referenced the kind of strange offseason. What do you make of the Orioles' payroll did go up for other reasons and in smaller increments, but it did go up, and percentage-wise, they pointed out it went up more than anybody else did. Part of that is they had a really low payroll before, so that makes it easier for that to happen. But do you make of that like this is new ownership is not here to spend wildly? That's not going to be a priority for them? Or do you feel like they are still maybe trying to prioritize, if we're going to spend, we want to spend internally on our guys? Just what did you make of the entirety of what this new group did in this first offseason?
Yeah, it wasn't as aggressive as I thought it was going to be. However, I think we all just thought with David Rubenstein, he's got a lot of money and he loves the Orioles. So, of course, he's going to spend and he's going to extend, Gunnar and Adley, and we're going to be in great position. He's going to go get every free agent. That was unrealistic. I don't think there was any chance that was going to happen. I expected more, but I think they need to sit back now and see where they are. And the trade deadline, it's not going to be till the end of July, but there are going to be some interesting guys out there. I mean, we just saw Ryan Helsley of the Cardinals throw yesterday. He's a great closer. Orioles don't need a closer necessarily, but Sandy Alcantara might be out there with the Marlins. And so the key will be, if you're not going to make big moves in the offseason, what are you going to do at the trade deadline? And that's where the Orioles may get involved even more than in the offseason, is a piece becomes available and they go get it.
Can I ask specifically, like we're now at a place where Adley Rutschman is arbitration eligible and is getting money after he already got money when he signed, clearly as the number one pick. The other three guys, Gunnar Henderson, Jackson Holliday, Jordan Westberg, are all Boras clients. Like, it isn't even plausible to talk about trying to, or do we need to start making peace with, it's just not going to happen with that. Like, that time has come and gone, and they got to try to win while they have these guys and then make the plans afterwards.
Well, it's a little early for that, but the Boras factor is real because he has made it clear for his entire career, his incredibly successful career, that his MO is to not sign long-term deals for young players. He's going to let them get to free agency. And maybe all Oriole fans need to look at it that way, but still, it doesn't mean just because Gunnar Henderson doesn't sign some huge contract for 15 years that he's going to leave after 6 years. There's no guarantee of that either. So I think you just have to sit back, see how things go. It's just really hard when all you want to do is make sure these guys are part of a team for the next 10 years, and that's really hard to do in this day and age.
It really is. It's very difficult, and obviously we've seen some things in the past. Tim Kurkjian, what does the schedule look like for you? Where are we seeing you? Where are you going to be?
Well, I did a game yesterday, the Cardinals and the Mets. That was great fun. I am going to see the Yankees tomorrow, and then I am going home tomorrow night, which essentially finishes my spring training tour. A little shorter than usual, but I've got a lot of things to write. I got a lot of things to do. I saw a bunch of teams. I wish I had one more trip to spring training, but unless somebody comes forward with that, I'm going to be home for the next 3 weeks trying to cover everything from there.
And then what about the podcast?
The podcast is great. We're going to go twice a week now, starting on March the 17th. My son and I, the only people on the podcast who work on the podcast, we've just decided we need to do more. So we're going to do that starting March the 17th. Can't wait.
GreatGameOrWhat.com is where you find it. At Kurkjian_ESPN, you can find him. Tim, always appreciate you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Okay, Glenn. Thank you. See you.
Tim Kurkjian from ESPN with us here on GCR. Appreciate him taking the time. When we come back in, you've been waiting for it. NBA Corner on the other side. with the man who has all of the knowledge, is following night in and night out, and knows everything about the association. Drew Forrester guides us through NBA Corner next. Glenn Clark Radio.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from driveeasymd.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at driveeasymd.com.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at costasinn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Glenn Clark and I sit down for a Q&A with Orioles owner David Rubenstein, discussing what he learned from his first year as owner, his goals both on and off the field, and his involvement in baseball decisions. Also inside, Brooks DeBose profiles new Oriole Tyler O'Neill, and we meet college lacrosse players from around the state. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farms stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
Speaking of spring training, Stan and Luke are headed down to spring training, and you'll be able to follow all of their coverage at PressBoxOnline.com.
When did we get Luke?
It's different Luke.
Oh.
Different Luke.
Oh.
Yeah, different. Luke Jackson. Stan Charles and Luke Jackson.
I was like, what did I miss?
Yeah. No. We like this Luke, too.
Okay.
We like the other Luke, but
Okay.
I don't know if he goes to spring training or not.
Well, he's not allowed.
Well, I think he's allowed.
Oh, he is?
But I don't know that.
It's not in the budget.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I have no idea. Maybe it is. Who knows? But yeah, Stan and Luke Jackson are headed down to Sarasota. Okay. Their coverage, PressBoxOnline.com, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports.
Stan gets all the best gigs, doesn't he? Stan's not stupid.
It's not.
You and I sit up here and wave at the National Guard.
Right.
While Stan's down there in Sarasota.
Doubt. He's enjoying a hot dog. You can find it all in those locations. It's all brought to you by Easy Pass, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costas Inn, and Live Casino and Hotel. All right, if it's Wednesday, that means it's time. You've been waiting all week to find out, and this man's going to let you know.
I love this. It's from the Globetrotters theme song.
Every other week he's been like, this music sucks. I hate it. It's
Welcome into NBA Corner here, where we give you the latest and greatest from the association. You might not know. SGA, the leading scorer in the league right now, 32 points per game.
I might not have known.
You didn't know that, right?
I did.
You know who leads the league in three-pointers per game?
I don't, but I'll just guess Steph Curry.
He does. Yeah. The great Steph Curry with 4.4 per game. So if you're inclined to occasionally wager on that, It's always a good bet. Plus 3.5.
Prepared NBA corner by just looking at the statistics today.
Plus 3.5.
That was his prepreparation.
Plus 3.5 is always a.
Yeah.
This is
Is always,
I'm learning things here.
yeah, plus 3.5 is always a good number. Last night, by the way, for those of you who might not have been paying attention, had you had Kucherov for scoring 2 goals last night,
Now,
you would have been thrilled.
which does he play for the Spurs?
You would have been
or for
thrilled.
That's weird in the
Big
in
news
NBA
this week.
corner.
Big news this week in the NBA. Terrible injury to Kyrie Irving.
Yes.
And let me take you back and tell you exactly what happened.
Okay.
For those of you who missed it. He was driving to the basket. He took an awkward step. He collapsed in a heap. He actually got up and hit a couple foul shots, which is similar, if you remember, to when Kobe tore his Achilles way back in the day when he was alive. Kobe tore his Achilles, and he took foul shots with a torn Achilles.
That's correct, yes.
So Kyrie Irving the other night got up from this awful fall and hit a couple foul shots, and then went to the bench, said, I'm not feeling well, and the team doctor said we should probably go take a look at you. And people may not know this, which is why you listen to the NBA Corner. Kobe fainted back in the locker. I mean, Kobe. Kyrie Irving fainted in the locker room, and when he woke up, he said, "Doc, what's wrong with me?" And the doctor said, well, you have a torn ACL, a torn PCL, posterior cruciate ligament. You have a medial collateral ligament tear, and you also have a torn heart muscle. And Kyrie said, well, that's impossible because I don't have a heart.
There we go. Drew Forrester, ladies and gentlemen. Magoobies this Saturday.
So
he'll be at the Chuckle Bucket in Providence, Rhode Island next weekend. Get your tickets right now for the Chuckle Bucket in Drew Forrester.
Because I don't have any heart. Remember, I sat out during COVID. I don't have any heart, doctor. You must be looking at someone else. Because
That's Drew Forrester. That's what
anyway, the Wizards' playoff push continues.
Yeah.
They are now,
hang
with me.
Okay.
They are now only 12.5 games out of the final spot. They do not, no matter what you might otherwise think, they do not yet have an X next to their name.
Not eliminated. Still very much. If they win all of their...
And by the way, don't look now, but they're coming off of a 10-game stretch where they went 3-7.
Wow.
A high water mark.
Beat the Hornets again the other night in Charlotte. I think the Wizards have... Well, they have 4 or 5 road wins. At least 2 of them have come in Charlotte, if not 3.
I'll take your word for it on that one. There are things that I can fact check here, but I can't fact check that.
Utah is hanging on in last place in the other conference with 15 wins.
Why is he telling us?
And they don't yet...
It's NBA Corner, Glenn.
They don't yet have an X next to their name either, which is also kind of crazy, right? It's coming, though, soon.
That's what he came with today. He came with Utah. That's what he prepared.
Don't mind if I finish doing this, dude.
In the NBA? Are they not in the
correct,
NBA?
thank you. So Oklahoma City and Cleveland.
Are we going to talk about the big trade that wasn't? It was a big story this week. I'm sure you were on top. You were just talking about the Mavericks a second ago. I assume you're going to talk about it.
No, I'm not. But Oklahoma City and the Cavaliers are both neck and neck for the top record in the league. But don't look now. But
and the Cavaliers are doing it without Mark Price.
But Djokovic has really helped the Lakers.
Yeah.
Lakers now 39-21 on the year, and they are. That's not Djokovic. It's Doncic.
No, just go with it.
Doncic.
You were right the first time.
Doncic has really helped the Lakers. 39-21 on the year now, rolling along out west, going to make the playoffs, and likely because the league wants them to win, will be in the final. And
of course, the story is that we learned the Mavericks. We always thought the only call they made was to the Lakers, but we learned they actually made another call before that to the
Bulls,
to the
Warriors,
to the
Timberwolves.
Hey!
For who? KAT?
tried to get. He doesn't
not
play
there
for the
anymore
Timberwolves.
Well, used to.
He did. That's a good point.
They
You're right.
honestly, that guy, I wouldn't put it past him. You guys got Cat?
Yeah.
We want Cat.
Yeah.
And they're like, well,
Yeah, the thing
not
about that is
here.
you're going to need to call New York and see if he's available. They tried to trade Luka Doncic for Anthony Edwards.
Oh, that's a no.
And the Minnesota Timberwolves said,
Yeah, no thanks.
keep walking.
Yeah.
Keep walking.
No thanks.
Good luck to you in your pursuit.
Well, the league, and then I'll wrap it up by
next best thing, Anthony Davis.
Correct. We can't get Anthony Edwards. We need an Anthony.
You guys mind if I do my
Gotta fill
segment?
the, I'm sorry. Very disrespectful.
I'll just wrap this up by saying the league, this has been a nice year.
That's what he's
And-
got. I knew it would always come back to Francesa.
This is-
I knew it would always get there.
It's been a nice year. And I'll tell you, here's the one thing you have to look at. How do the teams in the East fare against teams like Vancouver?
Right.
How do they do against Seattle?
Right.
Because those are the swing team. Let me
Yeah,
look
the
back and
swing-
see what they did. What they
Gary
do this year
Payton
against
and Sean
Vancouver.
Kemp and yeah.
What they do against Vancouver.
Right.
Look back and tell me what they did.
Big Country Reeves.
Tell me what they
right?
did against
That's
Vancouver.
a tough matchup for
when they played
everybody.
Vancouver. What'd they do?
Did he actually do that?
No, but he would. I mean, 100%.
For sure.
He would.
say, these teams that go out west and they play against
All the
Portland,
way out. It's a tough trip
Vancouver.
out to Seattle.
What'd they do against Florida State?
God, man.
They got to play them
Not
twice.
allowed to play the clip until the first week of the NCAA tournament. We're not allowed to do it. We saved that clip for the first week of the NCAA
What'd they
tournament.
do against them? What'd they do?
It's gonna be electric as me re-downloading the app.
What'd they
Will
do?
be when we play that.
What'd they do against Florida State?
Well,
They're playing Florida State.
they
Well, why do they play them? Don't they play them twice during the
twice
season?
a year, and it's always a tough matchup, and they win some and they lose some.
man.
God, he's the best.
But anyway,
Yeah.
NBA, it is a nice season. And
It's a nice season.
so far, it's been a good season. And
That's his dynamite
I'm
analogy.
sticking with I really do think you're going to see, when all the dust settles, I'm calling Lakers Knickerbockers.
Lakers Knickerbockers. You think that they're
Who's
just
on
gonna?
the Knicks that you think's going to lead them there?
Yeah.
You know who my favorite guy is?
Who?
Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson. That's a hell of a Nick.
You tell me a better point guard than him. All right?
That's a great point. That's
Yep.
Drew Forrester. That's NBA Corner. That's the reason why you come, is because nobody's breaking it down like him. He absolutely just went and read that in the newspaper. And the great part, too, is in the physical newspaper. He actually went and said, "Where are the standings?" in the physical newspaper this morning. So you could
If any of you had the Bulls last night, like I did, you're happy.
Yeah, you left out what LeBron accomplished this week.
I did. He became the first player to ever have combined 50,000
No, I
points.
feel like that could have made NBA Corner. I feel like that would have been the type.
I'm not a
you
LeBron
knew
fan.
that.
I'm not a LeBron.
You had it, and yet you didn't bring it up during NBA Corner.
Yeah, I'm not a huge LeBron fan.
I feel like we might need to have a meeting with the program director. Feel like
The
we
chosen
might
one,
need
huh?
to- yeah, it's one of the best.
That's the best.
It was the Dallas Super Bowl where we did nothing but play Sports Center commercials
all
because
we
all
did.
of our guests canceled. There was
the best.
There was a snow.
That and Landon Donovan kicking the
Oh God,
kicking
no
the
doubt.
computer. I mean the copier, and the red card came
No
out.
doubt. Chosen one is really high up on the list.
Chosen
really
one.
high up on the list of the
Chosen one, huh?
Yeah.
He's got ink all over his fingers.
So good.
Was it Stuart Scott
So
or
good.
Van Pelt?
I think it was Van Pelt because wasn't Stuart Scott? No, Van Pelt was the one with the chair.
So-
He was sitting in LeBron's chair. Remember?
I think
LeBron-
it was Stuart Scott that said
Yeah,
chosen one.
I think
huh?
you're right because the other one with LeBron was the one where he comes in and he's like, "You guys seen my chair?" And
Oh,
Scott
right.
Van Pelt's sitting in
Right,
a throne.
right. Oh, yeah, right.
And he's like, "No, sorry, LeBron, I haven't
Remember,
seen it."
remember the other one was when Rich Beam put the PGA Championship trophy in the front seat of the car.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Rich Beam.
100%.
Oh man,
We
those were great commercials. Arnold Palmer making the Arnold Palmer.
I can't. Yeah, right. And they fist bump.
What do you get? What are you
Yeah,
getting? He's mixing
bump.
iced tea. Dude,
Oh, man.
those were so good. It's crazy.
It's incredible. It was quite the era. Quite the era. And that's all we did.
What the hell happened to ESPN?
See around the horns coming off there?
What
did
happened to
see that.
ESPN? Like, if we wanted to do a 30 for 30 on, what happened to them? It ran our life.
Well, the internet, because
Okay, maybe that's what happened.
the internet really is what happened to ESPN. Because what we loved about ESPN really was Sports Center, but we had to go to.
I used to get up
SportsCenter.
every morning and
Yes.
you would watch
but
to see
you
who
did
won
that in
last
part
night.
because you had to.
Right.
You had to go to Sports
Sure,
Center.
sure,
There was
sure.
nowhere else to go.
Right.
So when the internet came along and you didn't need to go to Sports Center, then they were like, how do we make
But
this?
the guys that they had at the time.
Oh, they were incredible, 100%. Yeah. It was
Charlie Steiner
Yeah.
and Linda Cohn and
Oh, my God, when Charlie Steiner was the pool boy, they did the trade for Andrew Shue from Melrose Place. That was the greatest. God, that might be my one seed of Sports
what
Center
did he say?
commercials.
Oh, come out here and get your whooping.
Yeah. Oh, Charlie.
Holyfield.
Charlie, come get your whooping.
Holyfield.
Oh, my God.
Holyfield said, come on out and get your whooping. Charlie Steiner was awesome.
Oh, he was excellent.
They had incredible teams of people back
Yeah, but
then.
the downfall was the internet. The
Okay.
internet.
And they also got too big for themselves. It always happens that way.
Yeah,
It got too big.
They did.
You can't be funny anymore.
Right.
It's kind of what happened to Saturday Night Live 10 years ago. You guys got now that I don't know if you saw last Saturday night was maybe one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
What?
Like, maybe one of the funniest things I've ever seen was them bringing Shane Gillis back.
No, they did that the first time they brought him back. He was great. This time,
But I'm saying they've now 10 years ago they stopped being funny because they were afraid of who they were offending. Now they don't care anymore.
Yeah, that's the hipster thing to say about Saturday Night Live.
It is true.
It's always-
They don't care now.
it's
Weekend Update, they
it's the
never would have
hipster.
aired this stuff 10 years
It's
ago.
the hipster thing to say.
Well, I am hip.
Yeah, I know. I know you. You're at the
Weekend
top of that
Update, I
list.
could just watch
This
that.
past Saturday was bad, man. Like, I don't know what was going on. He was not.
Couple of beers was good.
That one was fine. Like that, but like he just was.
Couple of beers was good.
Like he was very uncomfortable staring at
At the
cue
beginning,
cards.
at the
Like,
beginning, his monologue was terrible.
it was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, it was awful.
His
and
monologue
he's
was
funny.
Right. He's very funny.
It
He
felt
should
like
just do Trump impersonations.
it felt like
the
he
Trump
was,
thing was good.
Yeah,
You got to admit the
but
Trump
that guy-
Zelensky thing, that was a total win.
That guy, the guy that does Trump, is
It is Trump.
is a genius.
No, it is Trump.
Yeah, that
They've
guy's a
announced
genius.
it. It's actually Trump that comes in and does Trump.
But his I don't know what it was. He was just extraordinarily
weird.
uncomfortable.
A couple of beers was good.
Yeah, that was good. I'll give him that. That was good.
And the Weekend Update. If you ever say anything bad about Weekend Update, I'll punch you in the face.
Boy, what do you?
You can't say anything about those
You
two.
related to Colin Jost in some way?
Michael Shea.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Hour number 1 in the books. Drew is here. It is a Would You Rather Wednesday edition. The scenarios are up at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, Facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio. Get your responses in. Somebody's getting a $30 gift card to Glory Days Grill. We were just talking about how exciting it was to see Felix Bautista back on the mound.
What do you got? This is where you want me to tell you how overrated the Orioles pitching staff is?
No, I don't want you to do that. I want to bring in our guy, Rob Friedman. You know him as the pitching ninja. And, of course, you've seen him basically everywhere. It feels like he's got to deal with, like, everyone who presents Major League Baseball games. And he is back with us now here on GCR. Rob, it's Glenn and Drew in Baltimore. It's always good to catch up with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning. Oh, did we lose? Oh, maybe he heard. He said, "What is this?"
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Like,
What are these guys talking about?
He's sitting on hold like, I must be at the wrong place.
These two morons.
I don't know what happened.
Or one
here.
moron. Then the old guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, that guy. That guy's on
Who do you
top
like
of
at
things.
the Arnold Palmer this week?
Ah, yes. You know he's due. It's time.
Minwoo Lee.
Oh, I was going to go with Chi-Chi, but, you know, it's not a major.
It's not funny anymore.
Well, it's still funny. It just might not be.
He's dead.
I'm aware of
Oh,
that.
okay.
Think I don't know? It was very sad.
I'll take Minwoo Lee.
Great. Then that's who I like, too.
Okay.
That's where I'll go. Let's bring in Rob Friedman, the pitching ninja. He's with us this morning here on GCR. Rob, Glenn and Drew in Baltimore, how are you? Thanks for taking the time for us.
I'm doing great. How about y'all?
Everything, we're good here, especially because we've seen Felix Bautista throw a ball in heat now, and so life is good. Our reaction, and you tell us if we're off, but our reaction was if that's how he looks the first time he throws a baseball, then we have every right to believe that Felix Bautista might be Felix Bautista again and might be Felix Bautista again pretty freaking soon. Is that how you felt watching that on Monday?
Your take is exactly what mine was. I saw him pitch, and I was like, man, I miss that. I miss that filthy splitter and overpowering fastball. And he hopefully be right back very quickly.
What do you still need to see? Like, if, and I don't really care if it's opening day or not, but what do you still want to see before either he's ready to throw in actual Major League games, or what's the difference now between him looking good in a spring training game against, nobodies and then looking like Felix Bautista in the regular season?
Yeah, I don't care who's in the box against him. They're in trouble, assuming his velo is where it is typically. And that's what I'm looking for is, commanding the zone, which he's now, he pounds it, but he's not necessarily a dart thrower. But really the velo piece is what I'm looking for. And if the velo is back, he's going to be trouble for anything.
Is that the typical story that when you watch guys returning from Tommy John, the velo is the answer, or are there other things that you monitor for guys that are coming back from Tommy John?
It's really mostly, are their pitches looking like they did before they had the surgery? And with every pitcher, it can be a little different. Sometimes command disappears because you're just not used to throwing with this new ligament. Other times, velo's the last piece, and then sometimes everything clicks right away and you're fine. But typically, we've been through it a lot, and I think teams know how to manage that.
All right, now let's get to the important part. Explain to us how Tomoyuki Sagano is Zach Greinke.
All right, so there were a number of my followers from Japan that were pointing out the similarities, and they kept saying he looks like Zach Greinke. I think the similarities are they both have a very simple throwing motion, and it's one reason why they both can command the zone really well. I mean, I don't know if he's as nutty as Zach Greinke, because that would be fantastic if he is.
Mm-hmm.
But his stuff, he is a very, very advanced pitcher. He's not necessarily a thrower. He's absolutely a pitcher. That was his reputation in Japan, and his stuff is going to be outweighed by his pitchability. So his pitchability is really, really good, and I think that's what people have to look for. He's not going to blow you away with fastball numbers.
Right. By the way, if you haven't seen the video, I just retweeted it from our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio. The video, the side by side of Sagano and Greinke, and it is Drew. Look at this. Look at this. look at that. Look right there. It's incredible. It's incredible.
It is pretty wild.
They look exactly alike. I say that, what are the things for you in learning how someone adjusts to pitching in Major League Baseball? To your point, we know the answer is not going to be velocity with Sagano, but the story on Sagano is he pounds the zone, right? He just throws strikes. Do you immediately assume that translates, or is that something that you say that might be a little bit dangerous given the types of hitters that he's facing in Major League Baseball?
So my overall instinct is the latter. I always get nervous by somebody that doesn't have stuff that just jumps off the page and comes over, because sometimes you can get away with it in other leagues. Sometimes the ball differences matter. There's a whole bunch of things that may matter. So I want to see how hitters react to his stuff. The jury's still out on what it's going to do, but I know that he is a smart pitcher and can outthink hitters, and he'll make adjustments quickly. It's going to be a game of cat and mouse with him. Is he going to be able to stay one step ahead of hitters?
I know you were watching on Monday. I didn't really see any Charlie Morton stuff. Do you have a sense of what Charlie Morton still has left at this point in his career?
Well, I've watched about all of his starts over the last however many years, because I'm in Atlanta.
Sure.
He was in Atlanta, and yeah, he still has a lot left. I know he keeps wanting to retire, but the stuff doesn't say retire. His stuff does, he's still throwing mid 90s. His curveball still gets 3,200 RPMs. And that's really his calling card. He spins the ball as good as anybody. The other thing he's really good at is being a mentor to pitchers on the staff. So I can see him being really valuable so people can pick his brain and say, hey, this is what I've done. He's been around for forever, so he's seen everything. And he's one of those guys that every pitcher I've talked with talks about what a good teammate he is and how good he is about sharing his insight and helping people. Spencer Schwellenbach told me that Charlie Morton helped him fix his curveball. So, he's going to have an effect both on the field and off the field for him.
Rob Friedman, the pitching ninja, is with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. Rob, I wonder if you could help it. So one of the conversations we've been having a lot of this offseason with the Orioles no longer having Corbin Burns and not replacing him with a pitcher of that ilk is whether or not this could finally be the moment that Grayson Rodriguez, who we believed has the talent to be an ace type of pitcher, but has never put it all together necessarily. Can this finally be that moment? To you, what's the difference in Grayson Rodriguez's talent and his ability to take that ascent and become a true top-of-the-rotation type of pitcher?
For me, like, he's got amazing stuff. He is absolutely a top-of-the-rotation guy. Once he gets the experience under his belt and understanding how to attack hitters constantly. And he's one of the guys I'm excited to see Charlie Morton alongside him, because Charlie will go over and say, hey, you might want to try this, you might want to try that, because he's been through it all. So I think having those guys to lean on will help him, but it's also just the experience. Keep going out there, throwing stuff, because even Corbin Burns didn't come around right away. Like, he was the worst pitcher in baseball before he finally got it and became really good. And I see all the signs from Grayson Rodriguez of being a stud. And he has, I mean, he's had flashes of absolute brilliance. So just consistency and having those guys alongside him will help.
Anything else that, like, anybody, as far as Orioles pitchers are concerned, anybody else that you're particularly interested in watching between now and the start of the regular season?
I mean, I like Dean Kramer. I think that his splitter usage is going to be a big deal. Like, his splitter was his best pitch last year, and it's new. So seeing him throw that more is going to be interesting. I think, I mean, Zach Eflin is a solid pitcher. Mm-hmm. Is he going to be, he's not going to blow the doors off people, but he knows how to get outs, and he's going to be valuable.
Was that a mirage? Like, his actual performance and numbers in Baltimore were overwhelming, right? Like, the actual performance was, but is that a mirage? Is it like, hey, we looked at him as, like, when he was in Baltimore, he was a borderline 1-2. Is he really more like a 3-4 that just happened to get good results down the stretch last season?
So my instincts are he is more likely a 3-4.
Yeah.
But he shows, he can flash really good stuff and then all of a sudden get shelled. And he is, he's an established pitcher. He knows what he's doing out there. He's a valuable member of the rotation. I would not rely on him as your ace. I'd love to see Grayson step up and be that ace.
That makes all of us. And then what was your takeaway from the Roki Sasaki show?
The league is in big trouble.
Great.
Like, that's what I saw in Japan from him, and I was curious what it would do, in against, with a Major League Baseball on a mound where he's nervous, and every single sign of him being an ace. Like, his splitter is going to be maybe the best pitch in baseball this year. Potential rookie of the year, as good as anybody on the mound, and it's just a matter of him getting experience with hitters. He's got the talent around him. Everybody's going to help him. He's going to be trouble.
Cool. It's just nice that the Los Angeles Dodgers have something good. That's good for them, right? They've been.
So I was worried about that. It doesn't seem like they have enough pitching talent, right? Like they. Hey, Lord help me.
Rob, before I let you, where are you? We've been having this conversation a lot this offseason, given the Orioles losing Corbin Burns. The idea of that you don't need a true ace to win a World Series, that you can just have bulk pitching, have a really strong bullpen, 3 to 4 guys that you can rely on in the rotation, and that can be enough. And I know that we use the Dodgers and hold that up from a year ago, but the Dodgers also had, they were the Monstars. They had more talent in general than the overwhelming amount of baseball teams do. But what do you make of that argument that you don't need to have a traditional ace type, a Corbin Burns type, in order to win a World Series?
You don't have to, but it makes it easier. I mean, I like shortening games with my starters. I do love the idea of having 3 dominant bullpen pieces that you can very much shorten games with, and you're not dependent on just starter workload. But I'd like to have. I mean, I think it's more useful to have a couple of really good starters you can trot out there. But there's so many ways to do it. I mean, you saw what the Tigers did last year. They just pieced it together, Terry Skubal, and then just bullpen everything. You can do it a variety of ways, but I like what the Dodgers have done, which is get the best starters and the best relievers and just throw everything out there. Like, that would be my strategy. Unlimited money, just do it.
It sounds good to me. Yeah, just go get everybody. Right? I like the sounds of it. What all can we plug for you, Rob?
Oh, I don't need plug. Just follow me on any social media where you are, YouTube, Instagram, X, whatever it is, I'm there.
I love it. At Pitching Ninja, of course, is how you find him. Rob Friedman, always appreciate you, man. Thank you for spending time with us this morning. We really appreciate you. Let's do it again soon.
My pleasure, and absolutely.
It's Rob
Take
Friedman with us here on GCR after.
You guys just wear the Oriole head.
What? What is your deal?
You guys just wear the costume.
What is your problem?
I mean, you know the story. These guys are going to stink.
Oh, they're gonna stink, huh?
Well, I think we're going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I like our chances tonight.
Who's the Orioles or Maryland's?
Maryland.
Maryland against
I think we
Michigan.
got it.
Yeah,
It's going to be.
it's a huge game.
It's a
Oh my God, what a big game this is!
It's a big game for them because it could definitely solidify them as a top four
right?
seed.
Yeah, get that double bye, no doubt about it, right?
I'll take Maryland 69, Michigan
There we
77.
go. That's our guy. That's Drew Forrester.
Dream on.
100%.
I mean, if you,
imagine you paid all that money for a ticket,
and they don't play,
and then the show just ends,
Right.
And you're like, right, but you're gonna play Dream On,
Right.
And then you just walk off the stage. The lights come on. You're like, but you're gonna play Dream On,
Aren't you? Right.
You would think. What else do you have for this week?
What do you mean? To contribute here?
Yes. What?
Nothing really. I mean, I did NBA Corner, which
know,
is
you
become my
did NBA.
staple.
But like, we booked 2 guests. We got another one coming up. I'm sure you're gonna duck out beforehand.
Who we got coming up?
Tommy Akingesote from Maryland.
Yeah, I'll pass on that
I
one.
figured that was going to be the case. What's happened to you?
I don't know.
What's happened?
I think last night really got me.
What about the Trump show?
Yeah, I think that really got to me.
Why did that get
Seeing
to you?
that whole right side of the room just sit there and not applaud the guy.
Oh yeah, everything he's doing. How dare we
He
not
did
pay
more
a
in the
little
first
bit?
44 days than some people have done in 4 years.
That's a great point, Drew. I keep hearing
That's
that.
what he said.
I know. I keep hearing.
I mean, and if he said that,
it's got to be true.
you have to assume it's
obviously.
true. He's the president.
That man.
He would never lie.
No. Hardly ever would end up choosing to lie. All right. Well, I guess appreciate everything that you've contributed today. Just
But we're having fun.
Bang up effort. Dynamite.
What else we have going on?
You think Ronnie Stanley's back or not? Oh, we can do Would You Rather Wednesday if we want. We could do that.
I do think he's back. I know left tackle's a valuable position, and teams would be likely be willing to overpay for that. But I don't know, man. I just think there's a little bit too much history with him. And
I really am worried about the Patriots here. Like, I'm worried that the Patriots have so much money to spend, and there is so little available on the free agent market that there is knowledge that the Patriots are willing to pay a number that the Ravens are just like, we just can't.
Right.
We just can't do that.
Okay.
I was taken aback, as we talked about last week, the fact that Eric said what he said, because you don't do that. You don't set a standard by which you can fail. There is no need for him to be which made me think they got to know that they're close. But here we are a week later, and there's been no movement there. Like, nothing's changed. And so they weren't that close. Like, I didn't think that you say what you said at the Combine unless you are, like, on the cusp of getting a deal done. Because why, if you're Eric DeCosta, do you set yourself up for us to say, hey, what happened there? Like, why did you fail? You said that the deal was going to get done. What happened? And they typically just don't say that type of stuff. They say, look, we'd obviously love to have Ronnie back. We're working on that. But to go as far as he went is setting himself up to be measured by whether or not they bring back Ronnie Stanley. And now, if they don't bring back Ronnie Stanley, it's a disappointment. So I'm alarmed by that. I thought that meant they had to know they were close. And a week later, here we are. And I don't know if it was, who was it in L.A.? Jackson got a deal done over the weekend, right? Or no, what's the guy's? They traded Jonah Jackson. Alaric Jackson. Is it Alaric Jackson? Is that his name, the tackle from the Rams? You're supposed to be the sports person here. Alaric Jackson.
Way more than us.
I got you. Don't worry. I'm on it. 3 years, $57 million for Alaric Jackson. And I don't know if that hurt the Ronnie Stanley conversation where they were hoping they could get him done at $19 million per year. And he was like, well, if this guy got $19 million per year, then I'm worth 24. I have no idea. But It's just confusing to me that they were that, and hopefully that changes tomorrow when they get it done. I hope that's the case. I also wonder how the Saquon Barkley deal impacts the Derrick Henry conversation.
My gosh. I mean, Derrick Henry's got to be sending him.
Beside him. Well, okay, yeah. Yeah, like a
Dude,
huge.
Thank you very much. What can I do for you?
Not that I think that Derrick Henry can get 20 per year. Saquon Barkley's younger, and Saquon Barkley has a more complete offensive role because of how much they throw the ball to him as well.
Right.
But Derrick Henry's a vital part of the Ravens' offense, and when they go back to him, and if they say, "Hey, how does $13 million sound?" He's going to say, "Well, it doesn't sound like $20 million."
Sounds like $7 million too short.
It doesn't sound like that. That sounds about right. I think the number ends up having to be a little bit short of $20 million,
like 18.
Something like that. But I don't think it's
right.
I mean, there's a big difference between $8 million, which is what he made last year, and what he was in line to make this year, and 18. Those
well,
are
the
two
guy's got to
significant-
eat too.
It's a great point. Well, but he only eats kale. Oddly, he only eats kale.
Well, it's
and,
expensive. It won't be in another couple months.
Right. Yes, we keep. Now, I thought that was going to happen in January. I was to understand
we need time.
on day one.
I thought it was supposed to happen in November.
We need time because
right?
we're fixing. We got to go over there and fix that mess over there, Ukraine and Russia.
Right, fixing that, getting that taken care of. Appreciate that.
You don't have the cards.
That's great. Don't have the cards.
Zelensky said.
I'm not playing.
We're not playing cards.
Yes.
I don't understand what
There's
this
a war.
I don't know
I'm
what
not
this
sure
means.
You're familiar.
Because I don't know what this means.
Yeah, right. This guy was like, I didn't realize I walked into an SNL skit. My bad. I should have prepared for that.
Well, you can say all you want, but at least you're having fun and you're laughing, and we're not so tense anymore as a country.
That's a good point, right?
Things
Everything's
have loosened up a little bit.
fun
You know what
around
they said in Dance of the Clairvoyants? The tighter things are, the looser they become.
Right. That's a good
great
point.
Eddie Vedder.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Like it's all things are so tight that they're actually loose. I hadn't thought about it that way. That's
he's playing chess,
and
you're playing checkers.
Right. You really were invested in that last night, huh?
Oh, I couldn't miss it. I
It
started
ruined-
out by watching CNN for 2 hours to watch Scott Jennings.
You watched the pregame show.
To watch Scott Jennings.
I told you somebody was watching the pregame
I did.
show last night.
I do it.
See,
I watch it.
He was watching the pregame show.
I watch it to watch Scott Jennings light those people up 1-on-8.
That guy's a winner. That guy.
Smarter than you.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure?
He should be the president.
I don't know about
in all honesty.
I don't know about that. I think I'll pass.
Well-
Although I'm not sure who I would want to have as the president at this point.
Coach K?
No, I think I'll pass on Coach K.
Tom
I'll
Izzo?
pass on that. Oh my God! Speaking of Coach K,
Tom Izzo?
so I got do you have a TikTok account?
I do not.
Okay, good for you.
I do
The
not.
best bit related to TikTok is when they
I have
send
COVID.
Thank you. They send push notifications that are months old news, like legitimately months old news. And so now I like to share them to be like, wow, this is a big deal. But I was confused because apparently they sent me a push notification that I should be friends with Coach K on TikTok. They sent me that.
You
They
should
said
be.
I should be friends with Coach K.
You
on
should be.
TikTok. I said I think I'm going to pass on that one. I think I'm good. But the one they sent, oh God, you're not going to believe this. I just found this out over the weekend, and I need you to sit down for this. This should have, by the way, probably should have come up in NBA Corner. TikTok let me know over the weekend. Apparently, Jimmy Butler missed Miami Heat practice, and they're
Thinking about trading him?
they're gonna fine him.
Yeah.
They're gonna fine Jimmy Butler, and I floored.
Yep.
Floored.
They've had some problems.
I wonder how
You should
that
keep up.
Yeah, I wonder how that might impact the trade deadline.
You should
like
keep
I
up.
wonder what that might mean.
I love it.
For the trade deadline. Jimmy Butler,
He's a hell of a player.
a hell of a guy you always want in the playoffs. Jimmy Butler apparently has missed Miami Heat practice according to TikTok, and they're going to fine him. So just monitor that, right? And like see what that means moving forward, because it could mean a lot of different
Yeah.
things.
Well,
I think
yeah. But TikTok, I mean, I'm going to get an account.
yeah.
I got to log on.
You're going to go ahead and do that
Right.
now. Give your information to China. Let
Yeah.
them have it. What are you doing with it anyway?
I thought we
right?
were
Like-
banning that. What happened?
We were.
And what happened?
Well,
Well, then
know.
Trump stepped in and said,
Yeah,
"I'm going
he
to
said,
save it."
I'm the
for-
savior
for-
of
yeah,
TikTok.
I'm going to save
That's what he
TikTok.
did.
Oh, I thought it was the
So
opposite.
curry favor with everyone.
I thought
He
wanted
was
to
the
ban
one
it.
that originally that did. Yes.
Yes.
He wanted to ban it.
He wanted to ban it.
Smart.
And then it was unpopular, and then he was the savior of TikTok. It's a weird thing.
I'm going to ban it.
Yeah.
Please don't ban it. Okay, I won't ban it.
Now look at what you're welcome.
See how good I
You're
am.
welcome. Look at what I did
I'm
for
going
you.
to say it again, and I want
Look
you
at what
to
I
think
did
about
for
this
you.
in the
Yes.
car on the way home.
Uh-huh.
He's playing chess.
Right. Yeah, you think he's a chess player? You think? How do you think that would go?
He beat you.
What was it? Do you remember the Bible verse clip with him? It's my favorite thing ever.
I like a lot of the New Testament.
They say, "What's your favorite Bible verse?" And he
lot
says,
of them.
"It's too personal. It's not something I want to get into. It's
got a
very
good point.
personal.
He's
I
got a
love
good
the whole
point.
Bible. People say it's the second greatest book of all time, behind
After
Art of the
the
Deal.
Art of the Deal.
Behind the
Right.
Art of the Deal, but that's too Wait, there's not. And the guy's like, "There's not one
Well, the New
verse."
Testament, I like a lot
Yeah,
of that.
I really enjoy the New Testament.
The New Testament is good.
And people just watched it and were like, "That's my guy. That's him. That's the."
You know what your problem is, and a lot of people like you, is
Yeah.
you're nitpicking.
That's a good point. No, when you're right, you're right. What does that have to do with leading the country?
You're just
right?
looking for stuff to pick on now.
What does that have
now
to do
you're
with
just
leading the-
looking for stuff to pick on.
I am negative Nelly. Negative.
No one of
Nelly.
the country's falling apart.
No, it's on me. No doubt
So,
about it.
well, people like you.
I saw Celine Dion was at the video game golf last night.
I did see that.
Celine Dion and Josh Allen hanging out at the video game golf. It was on in the
Tigers team. Tiger and Rory invented the league. They won one match between them.
Well, you know.
They won one match.
They didn't want it to look like it was rigged.
They
you
want-
know?
Actually, I will say this. I put this out last night on Twitter. Last night was the best Tiger has looked. But don't get carried away.
So U.S. Open then?
But don't
or-
get carried
Yeah.
away. He did look good last night.
Good,
He's only got the half of a puffy steroid face going.
Okay, all right.
I think he's weaning
Now
off.
you're just saying things now. You're just throwing things out there. You're making some
He
allegations.
did look good last night. It was the best he's swung the club for sure. His numbers were good. He looked good last night.
All right.
Jupiter Links, though, not so much.
That's a shame.
They got to get rid of those dudes. Tom Kim, Homa. Oh, my gosh.
Sure.
I got your shirt for you. You want a large, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Jupiter Links
I'm gonna rock
large.
that. I'm gonna rock that out. This
You're
week.
wearing that Goofy Stevenson shirt.
Well, I work there. Not sure if you're aware. I work there.
Have you seen the logo for Jupiter Links? Palm tree,
I can't say I have.
golf clubs under the palm tree.
Can't say I have. So nothing.
Who do you like?
Are you
LA?
are you gonna go to the Caitlin Clark game? Are you gonna go
Where is it? Who is it?
at the arena?
Baltimore Arena?
Yeah, are you serious?
What?
This was announced a week ago.
Who's playing?
The Mystics and the Fever.
In Baltimore?
Yes, 2 games.
Back-
Where have you been?
I was in Florida.
Oh,
Back to
where?
back.
No, they're playing 1 game in May and 1 game in early September.
Why here?
Because they are renovating the downtown DC arena.
Oh, okay.
And they don't want to. They want it. The arena that they play in DC is only a 5,000 seat arena.
Why wouldn't they just go to the big arena in D.C.?
The big arena in DC is being renovated.
Oh.
Just said
I
that.
thought they played in a smaller venue.
No, that venue they play in. But when Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark comes to town, they want to move those games to bigger venues.
to the big arena. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so they
Okay.
moved them to the downtown arena last year,
Right,
but
gotcha,
the downtown
gotcha,
arena
gotcha.
is being
And
renovated.
then they're building that new one out in Northern Virginia.
Well, that one is not actually coming to fruition.
The Caps are moving there.
That came up a little bit short. So yes, the two, for whatever reason, it's strange. The Angel Reese game is going to the Patriots Center. The Caitlin Clark games are coming to Baltimore, which seems a little odd, but
yeah.
I don't know. Like whatever.
What's the Patriot Center hold? 8?
No, it's 10. The Patriots Center's big.
I've been in it.
Mason can't fill it.
I've been in it. I don't
It doesn't It doesn't feel like it's that big.
It's not
I
as
agree
big
with
as
you.
the Baltimore building, is
No,
it?
it's not as big as the Baltimore
Okay.
building. I agree with that. Or whatever the hell it's. What is it called now? Eagle Bank. Yes, it's 10,000 for the Eagle Bank Arena.
And Baltimore is 12?
14, I think.
Oh,
Is
14
what they
now.
say now.
Oh.
Yeah, I think they say 14.
Okay, well. I mean, it would appear that they're obviously saying we think we can get 14 for her, but I think they'd get 14 for Angel Reese too, wouldn't they? Or no?
Whether they get 14 or they get, it would seem like in Baltimore you're more likely to get 10 than you are in Northern Virginia.
Yeah, well, they
and-
sell out. That'll be interesting to see. They'll clearly sell out the 2 Caitlin Clark games. here.
Presumably. The one, it's a little bit awkward because it's the first Sunday of NFL season, so there's like a risk that it's up against a Ravens game.
Who cares?
Like,
It's Caitlin Clark.
I understand that. Oh, you're going to pass. You're going to skip watching the Ravens to go to the
Well, I can't because I'll be in Bandon Dunes, but yes, I would normally.
Where are you going to be?
Bandon Dunes.
Well, I don't even know what that is.
It's
Golf,
like
I know.
the premier
It's
golf resort in the country.
Right, there you go. Where is it?
Oregon.
Okay.
Bend, Oregon.
How about that?
Learn something every day.
That's where the premier golf resort in the country is.
Well, I
Bend,
mean, other than
Oregon?
like the new one.
Yeah, I was like,
the
what?
newest one. Not it.
Okay.
I mean, yes, it's the newest.
If you say
It's
so.
15 years old. It's the newest thing. But yeah, so I won't be here. So get them to change the game.
Okay, I'll put that out there. The word is that like people are panicking because Mystics have not put single game tickets on sale yet.
Okay.
So if you
That's
go
'cause
to
no one buys them.
If you go to like the StubHub or something like that, it's only the season ticket holders that I'm able to post their tickets so far.
And
for
they're
the Bucks.
$5,000.
They're insane.
Right, sure.
I mean, they're absolutely bonkers.
Right, of course.
The ticket
no one's
prices.
paying that kind of money to see her.
I think you'd be surprised by that, pal.
Well, that's like saying people would pay $50,000 to see Taylor Swift.
Well, okay.
No one would do that.
Yeah, sure. No one did that. You're right about it. All right, you got anything? You ready to get out of here?
What time is it?
It's 11:30. We got another guest to get to. You're not going to talk to. We got to. What's your deal?
So I got to leave?
Well, you don't have to. If you just want to sit here
See the
awkwardly,
weather?
you can.
No, I got to go.
All right.
I got stuff going on.
Drew'sMorningDish.com.
Yes, sir.
Fairways and greens.
Yeah.
I'll handle
2 to
all
4
of
on Sunday.
What? I don't know what happened to you.
2 to 4.
Like, you just sort of sat there today. This was I'll come to your house and chew gum situation.
I talked to Tim Kurkjian.
Like one question.
2 questions.
Oh, you had to
It's
follow
your
that.
show. I'm respectful
I understand
of
that,
you.
but on Wednesdays I invite you here to do the show with me.
We should just invite me to do the show.
Okay.
Frankly, having been around you enough.
Require you having to prep something.
Did you hear me do NBA Corner?
It's a great point.
You learned a couple things.
I did. I learned a couple of things. I learned who they almost traded Luka Doncic for. Thank you for being on top of that. I appreciate it. Drew Forrester.
Did I tell you I'm doing rap music?
What? Yeah.
I'm doing
yeah.
rap.
Maybe next time you'll come back.
Can I come back and do
I
something?
don't think we're going to have to worry about that. I don't think we're going to have to worry about there being a next time.
Yeah, I'm doing music now.
Tommy Akingesote, former Terps defensive
Hip-hop.
lineman. He'll tell us about his trip out to the Combine
Hip-hop
next.
music.
Drew, thank you, I think. It's been Glenn Clark Radio.
Make Glenn Clark Radio great again.
COVID-19 and flu viruses are circulating in Maryland. But don't worry, protection is within arm's reach. Protect your health with this year's COVID-19 and flu shots. It's safe and convenient to get them both at the same time. Flex your protection. For more information, visit health.maryland.gov/vaccines.
This message paid for by the Maryland Department of Health.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
You're gonna love February at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Sweeten your Valentine's Day with a chocolate bar February 13th and 14th. Pamper yourself and your partner with Valentine's Day spa discounts February 10th through 21st. Celebrate the Year of the Snake and win a Lunar New Year luxury brand collection February 28th. Plus more ways to play, dine, and win all month. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Glenn Clark and I sit down for a Q&A with Orioles owner David Rubenstein, discussing what he learned from his first year as owner, his goals both on and off the field, and his involvement in baseball decisions. Also inside, Brooks DeBose profiles new Oriole Tyler O'Neill, and we meet college lacrosse players from around the state. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farms stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
He's still here. He has nothing else to do. Like, what's going on over here? He's just sitting here.
Monitoring the weather.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You think it's safe?
Not safe to leave.
Yeah, right. Do we need to hunker down?
something.
No, I got some kids checking in. Coach, we practicing. Coach, we practicing.
Oh, you know what that is, though. You have to.
They're
you have
so
to make
eager to practice today.
You have to make sure you keep telling them, no, practice is still on, even if you know it's not happening. You know you got to do that, right? Because you know what they're really.
Sweat.
You know what they're really asking.
Yeah, right. Can I leave early?
Yeah, go.
Goof around.
Right, exactly right. That's what they're doing.
Be careful out there today. It's gonna be nasty.
Towson baseball canceled their game today.
How
I
they
think we're
doing?
still.
They
I
off
think
to a
we're
good
still.
start?
I have no idea. Couldn't tell you.
My buddy Matt
Couldn't tell you.
Tyner.
How confident are you about the basketball team?
What's the schedule?
They would play Drexel or Elon on Sunday afternoon.
They got to win 3 to win the.
They got to win 3. Yeah.
They got to win 3.
Yep.
Drexel or Elon.
And they lost down at Elon. It's the only team that beat them. And Drexel, they needed a miracle to beat him at home, right? Like the kid was a tenth of a second late getting the ball out at the end, and then barely beat him on the road.
How confident am I?
Yeah.
I'll see you next Wednesday.
All right, that's Drew Forrester, drewsmorningdish.com. At It's a Hooded 4-Iron. Appreciate him stopping by. All right, this man had quite the week out in Indianapolis. For a man his size, to be running as fast as he does blows my mind. Put up one of the best times of all defensive tackles, running the 40. Boy, did he come on as the season went on for Maryland this season. Now he's getting ready for the NFL draft. He is defensive lineman Tommy Akingesote, and he is with us here on GCR. Tommy, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Yes, sir, Glenn. I appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, man, it's good to talk to you. Dude, like, how do you run that fast? Like, I couldn't post that time, and my body type is different than yours. Like, how in the world is someone your size able to run like that?
I would say it's the preparation. I took pride in the months of preparation going into the 40s. So I would say I relied on my preparation, and everything went well for me.
Do you remember, like, when it wasn't just that you were big? Like, did you always know that you were a little bit of an athletic freak? Like, was there a moment in your life?
Yeah, I was a big basketball guy growing up, so I feel like that molded my hot feet, you know.
I mean,
twinkle toes.
It's paying off, dude. Like,
sir.
it's worked out all right for you. Tommy, let me go back a ways if I could for you, because we haven't had the opportunity to chat. You're a kid from Largo. I know you're proud of your heritage. There are a lot of places that wanted you to come play. You had a ton of ups and downs during the time at Maryland, but why was it important for you to stay home, be committed to this school, and to stick around for as long as you did?
I would say it was because I trusted Coach Locks and my defensive line at the time with Coach Brian Williams, and what they told me they were going to develop me into being a great football player and also a great man. So I feel like that preparation and that development piece was very important to me because I was still in that process of finding myself. So I wanted to have great people around me who cared about my journey and who didn't just care about me being an excellent football player, but just a good person off the field also. So I took pride in the development piece, and I feel like Coach Locks and Coach B. Will took a pride in that too. So I wanted to stay committed to them, and I feel like that was the best decision I ever made.
I was going to say, like, do you come out of that saying, yeah, I got out of it exactly what, maybe it wasn't a Big Ten championship or playing in the Rose Bowl or something like that, but do you come away from that experience saying, I got out of this everything that I wanted when I made that decision?
Yes, sir. 100%.
I think that's a strong thing to say, right? Like, this year I know was tough, but what did you learn? It's funny, I say it's tough, right? Like, watching you play the second half of the season, my God, like, you just looked like a man possessed.
Yes,
what did you learn from going through the difficulties of this season that maybe helps sharpen you as you make this jump, or maybe makes you hungrier as you make this jump?
I learned how to overcome some adversity because I feel like, to me, in my class, the older guys, like we wanted to have a winning season and whatnot, but I feel like going into the season, we had to learn that we would have to develop a lot of young guys because a lot of young guys were going to have to play. So I feel like it taught me patience. It taught me how to come with leading like come with like attack the problem instead of attacking the like how you feel. I don't know how to say that perfectly, but just being patient with guys and just like coaching them with a good approach and not a bad approach. And I feel like that helped me my leading this year in a major way.
I appreciate that, man. Tommy, we talk a lot about like defensive tackles. So much of the job is you got to take on the double team and you've got to open things up for somebody behind you. But this year we started to see even more of I'm going to go be the guy that makes the play in the backfield. I'm going to be the guy like I'll shed that double team and I'm going to go disrupt. Where did that level of your game come from? What allowed you to get to that place where you were becoming more of that truly disruptful force as your senior season unfolded?
I would say it's for sure those weeks of preparation going into the game. I feel like Coach Locks made it a key point that the practice is a game and the game is practice. So come to practice, ready to work like it's a game, and it'll make the games way easier. So my approach during the weeks was really get at it, work hard during the week so the game will be easier. So I feel like on Saturdays I'm basically relying on my preparation and everything will go well. So those hard days of practice, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I really took pride in having great days during those days. So I would say the preparation piece, preparation during the week is why those Saturdays were how the Saturdays went.
It was paying off, man. There's no doubt about it. Tommy Akingesote from Maryland with us here on GCR. Tommy, with that in mind, how much did that – and maybe you'd say, hey, I always knew that I could do this, but how much did the results from this season give you confidence that, like, I'm going to be doing this at the next level? Like, there is no denying me that I'm going to be able to translate this and reach the NFL.
Hey, I'm going into the next level with a great mindset of I believe in myself, everything. I'm not where I'm at for a fluke. I'm here for a reason. So just keep doing what I'm doing. I still got plenty of ways to improve, but just keep doing what I'm doing, work hard, and everything will be great. So
I love that.
That's the mindset I have.
I love it.
Yes, sir.
Tommy, you show up first at the Shrine game, but then obviously at the Combine, right? Like, I know that's not hearing your name called. I know it's not, putting the jersey on for the first time. But as a huge part of that process of getting there, what was that like for you to be in Indianapolis, to be one of the guys chosen, to sort of get that fortification, to look around like, oh, this is happening. Like, I'm really doing this. Yeah. What was that like for you?
Yeah. It was great, man. I felt like I always told myself I'm blessed to be called in the Shrine and the Combine. I'm very, very blessed to be in the position because I got a lot of people who would die to be in my position. So, like I said, I'm always blessed. But I feel like while I was at the Combine, man, I was so locked in and so ready to run that 40. Like I really wasn't realizing I'm at the NFL Combine. So I was so blessed, so glad to be there. Like I missed the whole experience, but hey, I did a great job. I'm proud of myself, and like I said, I'm blessed. God is good.
What is it that you, beyond obviously your freakish athleticism, what is it that you wanted when you have these meetings with teams? What are you hoping that they come away from those meetings saying about you, Tommy?
That they can see I take pride in being a defensive lineman. I love it. I love the position. I know a lot of what it takes to be a defensive lineman. I know the double teams. I know every little thing of being a D lineman. So I take pride in it. I'm a physical, violent guy, and just I take pride in my position, and I love to play D line.
I love that, man, and it showed. There's no question about it. We got to see that over the course of these years. Tommy, I referenced earlier, it's funny because, dopes like me, I'm in Baltimore, right? So all I want to think about is you wearing purple. Like that's what, as your buddy Mason Steinberg knows, we got lucky with Bo ending up here last year. We're trying to make it 2 for 2. We would like to have everybody, frankly. That'd be good news for us. But I say that to say, when you were at the Combine, I heard you talking about Justin Madubuike, and I think a lot of people would just be like, hey, man, I'm going to talk about that guy because he's in Baltimore, you're in Baltimore. I want to say the same thing. But knowing your heritage, knowing his heritage, how much has he been someone that you've specifically looked up to and maybe has been a bit of a role model for you in what you're trying to do?
He's been a great role model because I feel like when I first started playing football, I seen Justin's. I looked at his background and whatnot. I seen we had similar backgrounds. I seen his style of play and whatnot, and I feel like we fit into that Nigerian. Like we come from the same struggle, so he understand. We could relate in a lot of ways, you know. And the hard work, just the background of how our parents grew up and whatnot. It gives us the drive to do what we do at a high level to provide for our family. So I feel like him being from Nigeria made me want to embody his lifestyle and whatnot, just to you know have the same similarities as somebody in the league, somebody to look up to and whatnot for me. So I feel like Justin
I know I said Justin too. It's Nnamdi. I want to make sure I don't.
Nnamdi.
I know.
Yeah.
I need to apologize for that too because we met him as Justin, but yes, he's Nnamdi. That's what he goes by. And I want to show respect to that, and I apologize to Nnamdi. But like that, I feel like again. Look, I know you're going to be excited wherever it is, but because of that, does it make you think like how uniquely cool it might be if it were Baltimore? Obviously, very close to home, but then adding in not just Nnamdi but Adafe, like. What a cool story that would be for guys of such similar backgrounds to all sort of be on a roster together.
I feel like we will connect so well. I feel like the chemistry will be there at a T, and hey, it will be great to be in Baltimore, man.
Man, we got to make that happen. Listen, Eric DaCosta, please. Hey, if I can add to that, right? Like, how much pride do you have in that? Because like it was cool for me. Seeing like the NFL Africa account like gassing you up this weekend, how much pride do you have in representing for your heritage and like what's become a growing group of guys that are finding success in football and in the NFL? How much does that matter to you to sort of represent that heritage and that part of who you are?
It means all to me, man. Like I feel like growing up. Like Africans and Nigerians weren't so popular and whatnot, but I feel like nowadays as we grew up, we made a name for ourselves, and I always took pride in being Nigerian. I never fell off of side away to being Nigerian, so I'm just still growing the maturity of putting my culture out there and not being ashamed of my culture. So I feel like all the Nigerians doing that in the league, they're doing a big one, and I feel like I'm going to just continue to grow that platform for my country.
I love that, man. I love that. That's so cool. Now, here's the important question. What did this look like, you and Jordan Phillips, like in the weight room, when you were just like doing drills? How intense was the competition between the two of you dudes? Did you have like a anything you can do, I can do better type of mentality? Because like y'all are nuts.
I feel like we had iron sharpens iron. Like we basically competed against each other, but we also encouraged each other. Like I gave him some of my intangibles. He gave me a lot of his intangibles. And I feel like we both had those, both took off of each other, so we made each other better. And I feel like the competition piece even grows that, like the iron sharp iron piece grows the bond more of me and Jordan. Like, I feel like we did everything together, man. I learned a lot from him. He learned a lot from me. So like we just ate together. He eats, I eat. I eat, he eats. So I feel like we just grew a great bond and how we worked, how we been around the facility and whatnot.
Man, it was incredible to see the two of you lined up together, man. Like I don't know how many times in Maryland history we've seen a duo like that. Like that was incredible. And then if I could, like Tommy, for people that obviously were a little bit down, disappointed by what happened this year, what would you tell Maryland fans about what they should know, to your point about Coach Locks, about the guys that are going to be there moving forward, and your confidence that they're going to be able to get right back to where you guys were, obviously, winning 3 bowl games in 3 straight years?
Yes. I would say don't give up on us for sure. Coach Locks has a great plan ahead. Just like he says, like we always been saying, TBIA, the best is ahead. So just trust us, trust the process, and I feel like everything will be great in the future.
From your lips to God's ears, my friend. May that very well be the case. Tommy, let's make sure. Are you like Twitter, Instagram? Is there anywhere where like Maryland fans can be giving you a follow as you go through this process?
Yes, sir. On Instagram, famous with 2 S's, FAMOUSS .TOMMM.
Okay.
Tom with 3 M's. And on Instagram, on X, Twitter is famous FAMOUSS. No period. Tom with 3 M's also.
Yeah, dude, I'm an old guy, so I'm just never gonna be able to get to X. Like I've been around. I'm 41 years old. It was Twitter to me. It's always gonna be Twitter. I'm just.
It's always gonna be Twitter. Yes, sir.
That's the way it goes. Tommy, first of all, so happy for you. It was awesome to see you perform the way that you did out in Indianapolis. We are truly. We always have to say this. Please understand. Like, if it ends up being like Pittsburgh, I know you're gonna be excited. Just please, like, don't be offended by the things that we say about you on Twitter. We don't mean it. Like, it's not personal.
Yeah,
it's just the way that it goes. And we will always root for you, dude. Thank you for taking the time for us. Hopefully we'll be catching up again here after the draft. Appreciate you hopping on this morning.
Sir. It's a pleasure, boss. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dude. Tommy Akingbesote from Maryland with us here on GCR. Appreciate him taking the time for us. And, yeah, he was hustling, man. He was, for a dude that size, he was moving out in Indianapolis. And, certainly not like Dante. He wasn't running a 4.3 40 because that would be impossible for a guy 6'4", 316. But ran one of the fastest times among defensive tackles.
Challenging him? Is that what you're doing?
Oh, you think?
Saying impossible.
Yeah, go do it. Right?
Impossible.
Okay. Impossible is nothing.
Impossible is nothing.
As Kyle Ottenheimer used to say, Kevin Garnett said. But appreciate Tommy Akingbesote taking the time for us this morning here on the program. All right. I do want to there was some news last night that means something a little bit more personal to me, and we're really proud of this at Stevenson University. Next weekend is the annual Mustang Classic, and it's an event where 10 of the best teams in all Division III lacrosse all descend upon Owings Mills, and on 2 days, all those teams play. So 5 games each day. These teams play 2 games each, one on Friday, one on Saturday, and it's just this festival of lacrosse from 11 a.m. until more or less midnight, 5 consecutive games with the best teams in the country. And it's an event that's meant a lot to not just Stevenson, not just to Division III lacrosse, but really to the entire lacrosse community. There's nothing like this in all of lacrosse. Inside Lacrosse used to do these like one-off stadium events in Baltimore, and I think they did a couple in New York as well during the season, where they would try to get 6 teams and try like a triple header and try to get some big matchups in there. And I think they like moved Army-Navy to the stadium once or twice, and those were cool, right? But there's nothing like this. There's no comparable to 10 of the best teams in the country all being in the same place on the same day. You'll never see anything like that in the sport. And so for the lacrosse community, it's a big deal. And this year's, it's the same concept, but there's going to be something a little bit different because for the first time ever, it's not just the Mustang Classic, it's the Callum Robinson Mustang Classic. And you might remember us talking about Cal last spring. Cal, who had been a legendary player at Stevenson, was part of their national championship team, and then had an incredible pro career. I mean, like, transition, Australian-born, played for their national team, and was a great pro in the MLL and on to the PLL. And Cal, beyond that, was a really special human. And all of these guys that knew Cal would all echo he was the best of us. My buddy Brent Hyken, who had his own excellent pro career, said it quite bluntly. He's like, we all knew Cal was better than us, but he never treated us like that. He was one of the most special human beings I've ever come across. And Cal would just, whenever he was in town, be like, can I come to a game? And he would be uproariously funny, charming, just one of these great, great people. You might have remembered after he passed last spring, we had Jim Stagnita, the coach of the Whipsnakes, on the show, and Cal was close with Jim's son, and they were talking about a trip they took where Cal just would like walk out on the balcony in his underwear, and Cal looked like a model. Like he looked like a movie star. And this was just his sort of like free spirit. Like that was the way he was, just this impossible presence. They don't make human beings like Callum Robinson. And Callum was unfathomably murdered on a surfing trip in Mexico last year that I know garnered a lot of international news. But I hated that like the story was about Cal's death and not as much about Cal's life. Because Cal's life was, I mean, second to basically none. Just an unbelievable human being. Someone who, no matter how much time you had around him, you just wanted more. We use phrases like lit up a room. Like, this is I mean, he could light up, his light could have powered a city when the power went out. Like when the Superdome power went out, Cal's light could have powered that. And so Stevenson's working on a lot of things. And the lacrosse alumni have wanted to be involved in a lot of that. And this is one of those things. The school also announced that they'll be putting Cal in their Athletics Hall of Fame this year. And, you know, incredibly well-deserved. But this one in particular, very significant. So the Callum Robinson Mustang Classic will be the new name of the event moving forward. And no one speaks to the heart of what that program has wanted to be more than Callum Robinson has. And again, what the type of human being. He impacted everyone on that campus. Everyone knew Cal. Everyone's life was better because of Cal. All of us who got the opportunity to spend, and I didn't even know him nearly as well as, you know, a lot of people did, but I had the pleasure and got to do broadcasts with Cal, and God, he was just the smile on his face, the hug he would give you. Like he would hug you like you were best friends. Like you were best friends. Special human being, man. Just a truly special human being. And so we are looking forward to that, moving forward, the Callum Robinson Mustang Classic, and hope that you come out and join us next weekend out at Stevens. When we come back in, we will get a tidbit. We'll get tubular to wind down. Maybe we can go over it. We never did go over Would You Rather Wednesday. It's a blowout on one of them, so I'm just part of it was a test. I knew what the correct answer was, but you never know with Ravens fans. So I guess I'm proud of how much of a blowout it is. But we'll get into it next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
You're going to love February at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Sweeten your Valentine's Day with a chocolate bar February 13th and 14th. Pamper yourself and your partner with Valentine's Day spa discounts February 10th through 21st. Celebrate the Year of the Snake and win a Lunar New Year luxury brand collection February 28th. Plus more ways to play, dine, and win all month. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
COVID-19 and flu viruses are circulating in Maryland. But don't worry, protection is within arm's reach. Protect your health with this year's COVID-19 and flu shots. It's safe and convenient to get them both at the same time. Flex your protection. For more information, visit health.maryland.gov/vaccines.
This message paid for by the Maryland Department of Health.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, winding down for a Wednesday edition of GCR. The Would You Rather Wednesday scenarios, and you can still get in at Glenn Clark Radio or Facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio. And you can win a $30 gift card to Glory Days Grill. That's at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter or Blue Sky, of course, we've done I give Griffin some assignments sometimes, and we've done a much better job on that. We are trying to expand on Blue Sky, so those of you that have migrated away, we want you as well. I hate that we have to do more work, but that's what it is. I'm not a huge Twitter fan, but it's just nice to have somewhere where everybody is. For those of us that do this for a living, it's very difficult when you're like, oh, so I got to do this and this and this and this and this and this. Oh, okay, cool. No problem. I'll just not eat. I'll just not sleep. That's the way that we'll handle it. But we're trying to come for you over in Blue Sky as well. Scenario number 1, you guys have done well with this. Would you rather the Ravens indeed bring back Ronnie Stanley or go ahead and get younger on the offensive line, spread that money out, including bringing in Devontae Adams?
Yeah, I guess so. You're saying everybody's made the right decision.
Everybody has made the right decision.
I'll stick with Ronnie Stanley.
Yeah, it's tough because
that'd be good.
I'll listen to the argument of it's better to get younger on the offensive line. I can listen to all of those things, and spread that money out sounds good, but the reality is it would be a bulk of it that would be going to Devontae Adams. There is no argument for Devontae Adams. There's not.
Because he'll be,
and
if T. Higgins isn't available, then
he's probably the top guy on the market. Yeah. And it's not because you don't need the couple people have been like, well, you're fine at wide receiver. That's not the correct answer either. You're not fine at wide receiver. You have 2 that you like a lot and you trust, but you absolutely could still use one, that prototype type of wide receiver, that game changer. I like Rashad Bateman. I do. I'm pro Rashad Bateman, and everybody knows I always have been. But I don't need Rashad Bateman to be my number 2 wide receiver. If you can find a prototype, and obviously that would be the idea of Devontae Adams, although he's not 6'5", he's 6'3"?
Devontae Adams?
Yeah. He's 6'3", I want to say. Maybe he's 6'4".
He's 6'1".
He's 6'1"? All right.
He definitely
plays a lot
6'4".
bigger. Jeez. He definitely plays a lot bigger than that.
Justin Jefferson's 6'1". Mike Evans is 6'5". He's the...
Yeah, that's the prototype, right? And again, when I say prototype, 100%. Guys that are not as big as Mike Evans can play much bigger. You don't have to be 6'5" to be a prototype, but and Rashad Bateman, I guess, technically is taller than Devontae Adams is, right? Is that
Rashad Bateman's tall? Yeah,
because he's 6'2". Yeah, isn't he?
That's what I think. That's what I thought.
But you could still. There's no doubt that you could still use that type. Any team that you're saying you can't use nuts, you can always use that guy. And then 2, even if you're not getting that guy, you absolutely need depth. 1,000%. We saw that with what
Bateman's listed 6'1".
He's listed. I thought he was 6'2" for some reason. All right, so they're listed at the same. But you always need depth. And it's very thin for the Ravens. That doesn't mean that I'm not, interested in whether or not there can be a next level for a Tez Walker, but I think the Ravens can use, so when the responses have been, no, you're good at wide receiver. I disagree with that part of the equation. You're not good at wide receiver. You're better than you've been for much of the organization's history. But wide receiver is still, if we did the list of needs today, if you were doing the draft machine, the generator machine, and it said, what are the top needs for the Ravens? Well, given that as of today Ronnie Stanley's not on the team, you would say tackle would be 1, edge probably 2, safety cornerback 3, and then you go to wide receiver 4. And it's easy to say, well, like, hey, you basically listed all of the positions. Yeah, but like it's an actual need. You're not set at wide. You're set at running back, for example. You could take another running back if you want, because you're looking for if you think Derrick Henry's time really is running up after this year, and you want to find your next future running back, you can take a running back, but you don't need a running back.
I am because Femi said it too. Cam Scadaboo, I would
I'm not opposed.
It seems
to
like
Cam.
his stock's probably risen.
Yeah, I think so
like
too.
it's not like you're gonna be able to get him in the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah. Yeah, I think where you'd have to take him is too early for this team. I think they have bigger needs than to do that. But I'm not saying you don't take someone that you aren't high on and you don't think can't later on in the draft that you don't think can't reach a higher level than where it is that they'd be going. But it's not a need. They're going to take an interior offensive lineman. They are. That's what they do. But I wouldn't say it's a need going into this year. Yes, somebody's going to have to play because Patrick McCary is going to be gone. But I wouldn't call interior O-line need at the moment. But they're definitely going to take one. Wide receiver is still in the need category for me. Like, you've got to do more at the wide receiver position than what you did a year ago. Not necessarily the highest level, but more. You needed to come away in the draft last year with someone that could play, and ultimately you didn't. You drafted someone, but
caught a touchdown against the Giants.
That did happen. I do remember it. It did happen. Number 2.
What, he had 2 catches all last year, and both were touchdowns. It's pretty.
Sure. Number 2. Would you rather bet $5,000?
Pretty good rate.
Thank you. Bet $5,000.
I guess before we sorry.
Christ.
Well, the Bears are saying they're going to extend Joe Tooney now that they've traded.
Yeah,
for
they traded
him.
for Joe Tooney.
I guess we didn't even say that, but yeah. The Bears traded for Joe Tooney. I guess we'll see. That will help to hopefully.
Well, if they do it, are they
not?
If they get it done today?
They said they're expected to extend Tooney before free agency begins on Monday.
Okay.
So
maybe. Number 2. Would you rather? You got to bet $5,000.
Yeah.
That Maryland's playing in the Final Four. Or same odds, bet $5,000 the Orioles are playing in the World Series.
Well, let's see. So does it come down to 4 teams or 2 teams?
What do you mean? Oh,
well,
just because
they make it to the World
Maryland's
Series
one of the Final
to,
4 and the Orioles are one of the Final 2. Yeah, I mean, but they're 2 of 30, not 4 of.
The Orioles are playing in the World Series, so the Orioles win the pennant.
Yes.
$5,000 to win the pennant, and then and so you're saying same odds? Is that what you?
Same odds.
Can I wait and see what happens tonight?
No, you cannot. Why? You have to make this decision immediately.
Well, I don't have to do it before they play.
Just pick something.
Do I get better odds if
no
doesn't go well tonight?
Shut up. We got a thing to do at 12:30. We got.
I know, but this is an important question.
No, it's not.
Well, I want to make some money. I have to bet.
Just pick something for Christ's sakes.
I'll do the Terps. Make the Final Four.
Why?
Why are you asking why?
Because there's got to be a reason.
You said it
why
wasn't an important question.
That.
It doesn't matter what I said.
Why?
Because I feel like the odds are slightly, higher that you're one of the Final Four remaining, and I think that their starting 5 is really, really good, and that's possible that they can just catch fire and not lose a game.
Griffin hates the Orioles. He thinks they stink.
That plays a role as well. I don't think the Orioles are. The Orioles have to stay healthy for the next 7 months.
I'm really torn because I would tell you,
Terps have to stay healthy for the next 4
think
weeks.
the Orioles are closer to a World Series caliber team than Maryland is to a Final Four caliber team. The difference being it's harder to it's harder for luck to play a role in the baseball playoffs than it is in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
In the NCAA tournament, you cannot be a Final Four caliber team like NC State.
Right.
But things can work out for you. You can play your best in a certain matchup. Another matchup, a team could just be cold. You can avoid having to play a particularly good team because they get knocked out the round before. Things can just break the right way for you in the NCAA tournament to get there.
They can get lucky and not be in They cannot be with the 1 seed. That's Houston, Duke, or Auburn, and they can be with whoever the
whoever the fourth is. Yeah, sure. Or that that team, they are in one of those, but that team loses in the second round in a stunner, right? And all of a sudden they're sitting there as a 5, and they get to play whoever the 8 seed is in the Sweet 16. But that type of scenario. So yeah, I do think that if I had to make the bet, I would make it on Maryland. But I say that saying I think the Orioles are closer to a World Series caliber team than Maryland is. Like, I can't shake the depth thing. They're not a Final Four caliber team, but they're a team that could get to the Final Four. It's the strange sort of trade-off, the dichotomy there.
So you hate the Orioles as well?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Number 3, would you rather? Your lifelong best friend is getting married.
Okay.
This summer.
Congrats.
Yeah, good for them.
Oh, wow. It moved it up pretty quick.
Right? It's happening in the summer. And you're in charge of the bachelor party.
Okay.
And there's only one thing that he wants to do because, you're going to hate hearing this, but it turns out he's been a closet Red Sox fan all of these years.
What?
And the only thing he's ever wanted
He said to my face he's an
was
Orioles.
to go to Boston for a Red Sox-Yankees series. And so you now have to plan the whole thing. You got to buy all the tickets, pay for to go to Boston for a Red Sox-Yankees series for a weekend. Or the only thing he wants is VIP tickets to Firefest 2. And as perhaps you've heard,
it's not going to.
Firefest 2 is doing quite a good job of living up to its predecessor so far.
How?
So far, Firefest 2, tickets are available. You can buy them. You don't know who any of the artists are. The only thing known is that it's happening at Isla Mujeres. Oh, but the thing about that is they reached out to the folks at Isla Mujeres, and they don't know anything about Firefest happening.
But he's that bad and determined.
That's what he wants. He wants VIP Firefest. That's what he wants. You're the best man. Which way are you going?
So, and we're just gonna say approximately the same damage here. They both cost the same, maybe?
Yeah, approximately. I think the damage. Yeah, we're just gonna say approximate because he wants to do it up in the Boston weekend.
I do like baseball, even though it's the 2 worst franchises in that we could go to see.
Yeah, they are by far.
Government officials announced the Fire Festival 2 location say event does not exist.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not hearing any of this. He's saying no, it's Firefest.
He just wants to go, man. He wants to be a part of it.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I guess we'll go to Boston.
See, I don't think
we'll go on the Boston Tea Party tours.
Most everybody's
there's other stuff to do in Boston.
You're there for Red Sox. He doesn't care about a weekend in Boston.
They play at 7 each night. Like we have a day.
He wants to do Red Sox stuff all weekend. He's a closet Red Sox fan. He wants to go to the Hall of Fame. He wants to do all that stuff. That's what he wants out of the weekend.
He wants to get David Ortiz's autograph.
Yeah, exactly right. That's what he's looking for. Wally, it's just a hat, man. He wants the whole thing. You guys aren't thinking about this.
Well, maybe I can talk to David Ortiz then when we meet him.
The stories that you could tell as the person that decides to go get stranded on an island.
The
stories that you could tell.
I certainly could tell some stories, I guess.
The experience that it might be. You could be featured in a Netflix documentary in 3 years.
Well, that would
You're
do
not
going to
be in a Netflix documentary if you go to Red Sox Yankees. You're just going to be miserable at Red Sox Yankees.
They're not going to feature me in the documentary because I'm going to be talking I'm going to say I never wanted to do this anyway, so I'm not going to be the one.
No, that adds to it. You're going to add them dunking on your buddy and what an idiot he was that he wanted to go to Firefest. Like, this joke, you're not thinking. You guys aren't thinking through this at all. This is going to be an adventure. You don't know what you could get.
I'm a baseball enthusiast.
What if you get there and it's real? Like, the whole time, this guy, if it's real?
Then I'm just going to be one other person that didn't go to Firefest.
Oh, man. I think you guys you're not thinking through this at all. I have no interest. I could not go to Red Sox. I would rather go and try to swim back from an island.
What weeks do they host?
Red Sox Yankees sounds miserable to me. Get your responses in at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, Facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio. Someone is winning a $30 gift card to Glory Days Grill. Would You Rather Wednesday also brought to you by County Sports Zone, countysports.zone. Everything you need to know about the state high school basketball playoffs. Find it countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. It's time for a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you by the Stan the Fan Variety Hour. If you missed it, Stan and Luke got together on Monday before they head down to Sarasota. You can find that at facebook.com/PressBoxSports, youtube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. As always, Stan Show is brought to you by the Costas Inn, and the Costas Inn is also a proud supporter of Stan and Luke's spring training coverage, which will be getting underway this week down in Sarasota. Stan and Luke will have you covered. PressBoxOnline.com, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. All brought to you by HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, the Costas Inn, Easy Pass, and Live Casino and Hotel. What you got?
Let's see. BYU did something, and I had there it is. There we go. BYU became the first team to have. It was a crazy game last night, the Iowa State BYU game. BYU was up by like 20 with like 10 minutes left or something, and then Iowa State came roaring back. They forced overtime. They went to double overtime, and BYU somehow still got the win on the road. So they made 29 turnovers. They became the first team to commit at least 29 turnovers against a top 25 team and still win since 1998, when Iowa turned it over 31 times in a win at number 10 Kansas in December of 1998. From that, teams that had turned it over 29 times in a game had gone a combined 0-117 against ranked opponents when turning it over that many times.
It doesn't seem like it should be the way that you win a game.
BYU found a way to get the win in I'm sure about the Ames. There we go.
God
in
bless
Ames. Yeah, so big win for BYU.
What is it? Is Iowa State just bad at home? Is that just like a thing?
No, they only had one loss at home. I think, and that one loss was K-State.
They were terrible.
And it was they've been over like half of January and like February they had been without like, I don't know, 2 or 3 of their like best players or something, and so they were getting healthy. But yeah, last night they still should have found a way to win last night. But yeah, BYU, I guess they might be legit out in the Big 12. So that was felt like I had to share that one. Luka etched his name into the Lakers history books already. He became just the 4th Laker ever with 30 points and 15 assists in a game.
How about that? Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe
did not
pass the ball 15 times. It was never going to happen.
He did once, didn't he? Yeah.
Did he?
Most assists in a game by Kobe Bryant.
30 points, 15 assists. I mean, did Derek Fisher have a 30-point game?
No. Well, I mean, maybe he did, but not
LeBron.
LeBron, yes.
Jerry West.
Jerry West. There you go. Those are the 4 Mount Rushmore Lakers: Magic, Jerry West.
Yes, those are the 4. Correct.
LeBron and Luka.
Correct.
Yeah. Kobe had 17 assists. That is his career high in a game.
Right. So it's
it
possible.
Was towards the end, January of 2015. So when he was
not interested in passing the ball that much.
It is still a pretty rare feat. 30 points and 15 assists. Only 6 players have done this 10 times.
Okay. LeBron James.
LeBron has not done this
10
times. 6 times LeBron has only done this.
I need to be able to track this. How about 30 points, 15 assists? 30 points, 15 assists. No, that doesn't. The pen part doesn't even come out.
It should.
Yeah?
I thought I fixed it.
Well, it's not. I don't know what goes on around here. I don't know what happens. I'll use a permanent marker from Comcast Sportsnet. How old is this marker?
Is that one going to work?
It's from Comcast Sportsnet.
It's a good network.
It's been a few years. And CSNBaltimore.com definitely hasn't existed in a very long time. All right. How about James Harden?
James Harden, yes. He's done this 13 times. 30-point, 15-assist games, if you're just joining us, John Proctor.
How about Russ Westbrook?
Yes, Russ has done it 10 times.
How about Magic Johnson?
Magic is number 118 such games, most games all time with 30 and 15 assists. Second place, though, is close. 17 for second place.
I'm trying to think of who are the point guards. Like, I don't think 30 is a lot for it to have been Steve Nash. Chris Paul.
Chris Paul is just outside my cutoff here. He has 9 games. Bum. 7th most all time.
Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas has done this 10 times, tied with Russell Westbrook.
All right, I'll try the other point guards. Kidd.
No Kidd.
Nash.
No Nash.
Gary Payton.
The two left are both active.
Both active. Are they point guards?
Yes. I mean, I guess one of them definitively, yeah. The other one, I mean, like, he plays, anywhere but the 5 probably. Like
Anywhere but the 5.
But, yeah, he plays point guard.
So Steph?
Not Steph.
I was thinking he's the definitive one. Definitive point guard. Definitive point guard. Kyrie.
Not Kyrie. Steph has done it 6 times. Kyrie's outside the top 25.
He's a definitive point guard. The problem is there aren't really definitive point guards anymore. Ja Morant.
No Ja.
Devin Booker.
No Devin Booker.
Doesn't really pass the ball either. I don't know. Tyrese Halliburton.
No Tyrese Halliburton. Although he's done it 5 times.
Okay. Clay. Jaylen Brown.
No Jaylen Brown.
Trae Young.
Trae Young.
Really?
Has done it 13 times. Yeah.
Okay. Could have been here for a while. And then the other one plays everywhere.
Yeah.
Do we think of him as? Whatever,
I mean, I think like when he was like first drafted, like it was kind of listed as a point guard, but I mean he does everything.
He does everything.
And he has 17 games, second most all time, 30 and 15.
I really have no idea. But we think of him as a point guard.
I mean, I kind of do, but like I guess we probably more think of him as a shooting guard, I guess. But he can play small forward, like it's.
He can play small forward. He's a wing.
Mm.
I don't know. We don't have time. Jimmy Butler.
No, he was part of the. He was kind of who the first tidbit was based around. Basically who this was.
Luka.
Luka has 17.
Yeah, I know he's a guard, but like.
He's in everything.
Yeah, that's a little misleading.
17 for 17 such games for Luka.
All right, very good. Very good. Let's get Tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise this evening. As we've discussed, the big one for Maryland tonight. They travel to Michigan, 6:30 on Big Ten Network. Who do we see? Kevin Kugler and LaFonso Ellis, I think, is who we saw. We're doing the game tonight. Yeah, 6:30 on BTN. Loyola Women's Lacrosse hosts Georgetown, 4 o'clock on ESPN+. Maybe, if we're all still here. I'm not sure. We'll see. The Orioles and the Twins today at 1:05. If you're an MLB TV subscriber, there's a Minnesota audio broadcast for that. Grayson Rodriguez and Pablo Lopez, the pitching matchup. Everything else, the Big Ten hoops tonight, also on BTN, Wisconsin, Minnesota at 8:30 and Washington, USC at 10:30. The rest of the college basketball you can find at glennclarkradio.com. Monumental for Jazz Wizards at 7. ESPN has Heat Cavs at 7, Thunder Grizzlies at 9:30. They also have Tiger Phillies this afternoon. Tigers Phillies, not Tiger Woods taking on
Tiger
the
Lilies?
Phillies.
Oh.
That would be weird. Either one of those scenarios would be weird. That's at 1 today on ESPN. TNT and True TV for Caps Rangers at 7:30. Maple Leafs Golden Knights at 10. The Tennis Channel as Indian Wells gets underway. The BNP Paribas Open, 2 o'clock. CONCACAF Champions League tonight on FS2. TBS for AW Dynamite at 8. Non-sports.
Big one. It is the season 1 finale on Prime Video of Pop Culture Jeopardy.
Oh, yeah. Proctor now hates somebody else, and I get it. The guy was a little bit much, but he's wrong. The first guy that we hated from Pop Culture Jeopardy, way worse than this guy. This guy, like, they won last week, and he was doing the most, and so I'll root against him in the final. Like, I will root against him because, like, just play the freaking game. We don't need your anybody who goes on that game and thinks they need to say something after they answer the question. God, it's obnoxious.
WWE Evolve on Tubi.
Right, with Peter Rosenberg.
Yeah, I don't know why you mentioned that.
Yeah, not
on Tubi, so everyone check that out at 8 tonight.
Sure.
The new episode of Abbott Elementary. Your boy Walton Goggins will be on Jimmy Kimmel.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I mean, he can talk about White Lotus. He can talk about gemstones. He can talk about if Walton Goggins is doing something, I'm with him.
New episode of Survivor.
I will follow him into the night.
Amazing. The Amazing Race season 37 premiere on CBS, and then a big Jimmy Fallon, because he's going to have Luke Bryan, Lionel Richie, Carrie Underwood, Stephen A. Smith, and Kai Cenat.
Yes, they are promoting Novocaine.
Really?
They are, yeah.
Stephen A. and Kai Cenat?
All 5 of them promoting Novocaine.
And then Mindy Kaling will be on Seth Meyers, because she is, of course, promoting our favorite TV show, and with our favorite.
Respectfully, I've seen your titties on the internet, so I can't really take you serious.
Griffin just wanted an excuse to play that. That's all. What is Mindy Kaling? Is she on that show?
Yeah, she either produced it or something. I think she is in it.
God, I like Mindy Kaling.
Yeah.
It's good. You know how it's gonna mess with me if another Joe Serpico likes Running Point. There's no way it's not the worst show of all time. But if other human beings try to tell me it's a good show, I'm gonna lose it because it's the worst trailer I've ever seen in the history of television. So if I end up having to watch Running Point, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Respectfully, he says, can't take her seriously. Because he's seen her
Respectfully, I've seen your titties on the internet, so I can't really take you serious.
When you're making a show and you need someone
when they wrote that down, when the writers wrote that one, they were like,
they actually wrote it specifically for Chet Hanks too. Like they wrote that line with Chet Hanks in mind. That's the way that it worked.
They didn't have a character yet. They just knew this is going to be in it.
Thanks today to Drew Forrester, I guess. He was a little off, even by his standards today. He was a little.
Yeah, well, like you said, he was rattled by last night.
Your brother's the big fan.
Yeah.
Check in to see how he felt about today's performance, because I didn't think he was on his game today. Thanks to Drew. Thanks to Tommy Akingesote from Maryland. Thanks to Tim Kurkjian and the pitching ninja Rob Friedman. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
Can You Take Me Higher?
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow on the program, Will Schaller from Maryland Lacrosse. They're 5-0. They just beat Notre Dame. We're going to talk to him.
Stuff and things.
Good.
Talk about Maryland probably.
I would like to hope.
And maybe see what's going on down in spring training.
That would be good.
And
stuff and things. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, CIAA Tournament, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costas Inn, MSAA Maryland Sports, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Wednesday evening. Go Terps. Dukes up.